As we get going into a brand new day here this morning, just getting a couple of minor data points coming through the Chicago Fed National Activity Index for May, just coming out. 0.18 versus negative 0.4 expected there. Good Fed's Bowman earlier this morning making some comments as well. We have more Fed speakers to get to later on this morning as well. More data to get to later on this morning as well. Some housing numbers coming up at 9 o'clock, and then the Conference Board's Consumer Confidence Index coming through at 10 o'clock. That one can move the market if it is one way or the other unexpectedly. 99 expected there on that CB Consumer Confidence number. Again, coming up at 10 o'clock. Few interesting names moving around, including, I saw a few people talking about this NXL this morning, down 7.8%. Birkenstock to the downside this morning as well, about 3%. There was an offering on BIRK. GPS with an upgrade this morning, moving around to the upside. SEDG, ugly. More guidance coming out from them in the wrong direction. So we'll talk about SolarEdge a little bit, and DJT. Another day, another move higher here for Donald John Trump, as you were calling him yesterday.
Yeah, that's kind of my name for it on the midday. Morning, guys. Yeah, lots to talk about today. Some news coming out from Apple that they're actually dismissing the Llama, rumors, including that with the system. But they are looking at Gemini. They are looking at Anthropic, so we'll keep eyes on that. Bitcoin also back above 60,000 in the EU, looking for more money from yet another Mag 7 name, Brendo.
Just waiting for this Canadian inflation data to come out. There was a little bit delayed, it seems, but actual 2.9% versus 2.7% expected there for May on the Canadian CPI. Again, 2.9 versus 2.7 expected there, so that's not good, coming on the back of rate cut last time around for the Bank of Canada. So we'll see, just hearing a little bit more there. The month-over-month number, 0.6 versus 0.5. So overall total year-over-year, 2.9 versus 2.7. So remember, just going back a couple of weeks ago, Bank of Canada cut interest rates by a quarter point ahead of the ECB that followed very next day with their own.
It shows you that inflation is sticky on this side of the border as it is in the south as well. So we'll have to see what the next rate decision is with the Bank of Canada. But it was really welcomed on this side of the border as we don't have those 30-year fixed rate mortgages. A lot of mortgages are up for renewal next year at much higher rates. So there was that concern too, Brendan.
Yeah, market did make a move down there on that housing data. We do have housing data coming up at 10 o'clock this morning. But yeah, that's not going to help. We're about a month away from the next Bank of Canada meeting. They were expected to maybe do 2 in a row here, but that number not going to help, guys. Good morning.
Yeah, and if you're a Canadian, which we are, obviously, that's not the only, the CPI number is not what we're sad about. I mean, obviously, would have been nice if the Oilers could have pulled it out, but they fought hard. They didn't win. At least Florida got their first one. And, congratulations to the Panthers. But it would be nice if we could break that no Canadian team streak, which is ongoing. So they got 30 years, 3 decades. It's our sport. You think we'd do a little bit better in it. You gotta, it is what it is, but you gotta move forward and focus on.
It's kind of like how track and field is Italy's sport, right? Like the fastest man alive, the Italian guy there.
That's the wild thing. The wild thing about.
And then Italy advanced yesterday on the last kick of the game. Wow.
Dude, we talk about the Italian track team a lot, but they have a guy. It's not just sprinting. They've got like ridiculous relay teams, and they've got this dude in the long jump who is like I think he's not gonna. I don't think he's gonna win, but he's like 20 years old. Nice. He's probably gonna medal, and he's a freak. Like at some point, this kid's winning the gold medal.
About track
so like all of a sudden, Italy's winning track. I don't know about the Euro Cup, but.
Yeah, I don't think we're not. Yeah, we're not supposed to be winning that, but we advanced over. I have Croatian cousins, so they were not super happy.
Yeah, they probably were not too happy.
Yeah, it was fun times, but.
You know what? It could always be worse. You could be SolarEdge.
Yeah, you could be SolarEdge for a long time. That's 300 million convertible there. Well, I don't even know what the market cap is of that name, but yeah, down another 17-18%.
But
no one really. Does anybody own this one? SolarEdge was not delisted. Was removed from the S&P back when Uber was at it. I believe that must have been in December or so. Yeah, so there you go. So huge move down. Talk about just bad news piling on to the Let's see, is anything happening with Enphase? I mean, I always look at Enphase as being a higher quality, same as First Solar. So Enphase down 1.25% right now, and FSLR. Let me see what First Solar is doing down today. A little bit, not too much for First Solar. They're trying to hold the fort there at 260. If you think there's a house of cards in solar, I mean, then this name's probably going to be dropping as well back in. Nice to see Bitcoin recovering a little bit here at 61 there. And then Ethereum, we had Michael Noss on last night, and just saying that there's much more strength in Ethereum, especially the ETHE, than there is in Bitcoin. So sometimes, not all crypto is alike. So we were talking about that on the market recap show as well. So, all right, it's 8:35 right now. We've got a bunch of different names on here today. I've got Rivian. We're gonna be looking at some Disney. There's a couple different names that I want to talk about here today on the sticky note. Just got to get it up.
Rivian about to break out, actually.
Is it? Okay, that was a name that I wanted to get to. Rivian 1130. Yeah, here it is. Rivian trying to get back up to the upside with an upgrade today from Guggenheim or something?
It was Guggenheim.
Yeah, so anyways, we'll see what winds up happening here with Rivian. Again, remember, I've bought this stock at 11.25. It's been here, so it's touched 11.25 like 20 times in the last 30 days. All right, back over to the desk.
Check, they still can't make any cars, but who knows? Regis Corporation, saw a few people talking about this RGS. I don't have a lot of data on this, but Regis Corporation announcing a new credit facility to refinance existing debt. So a little one, RGS making a big move here. This thing's already more than doubled. There we go. 5 to start things off. We're at 12, 13 now even. For, again, Regis Corporation with a new credit facility coming through this morning. So I don't have any fundamentals on this, like a float or anything like that, but okay.
So it's about less than 2 million, Brendo, 1.99 million share float. I don't have the short float on it, but we'll check trade ideas in a second. I just looked at the chart. It's not a former runner, so it's not one that I've had eyes on personally in the past. So I'll have to see if the short float name can get moving.
Yeah, day highs right now for that RGS. Here's another one, trying to get through session highs as we speak. Tesla, nice look here, 1.75. Already, 184 comes and goes this morning in the pre-market. Huge day yesterday into the open, then it gives it all back instantly. Ends the day basically where it started in the pre-market, but yeah, more. This time it's the gigantic windshield wiper that apparently is going to be a problem for Cybertrucks. When they first came out with some of these reviews that were online, everyone was talking about just the sheer massiveness of this windshield wiper.
I mean, Brendo, I've seen people making fun of the windshield wiper. They're like, oh yeah, I stopped at a Canadian Tire or wherever and I picked up a new one because you can't get them.
No chance.
And they're hideous. So there is one recall involves 11,688 cars, and that is with the windshield wiper. There's a second recall here, very similar number of cars, 11,383 cars. Their issue is with the trunk bed trim that may detach and become a road hazard for following vehicles. So a couple of issues here with the Cybertruck, Brenda.
Again, but that being said, back to session highs here so far, guys. Looks good.
1%. I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like when you look at the windshield wiper...
That sounded like a bad story, and then here we are up.
Well, there are some recalls, but I mean, when is that ever a big deal? Like, I don't think that moves the stock per se. And that RGS, I have 3.8% as the short float. It's not, with a stock that has a 2 million float that's going to do the volume that RGS is going to do, it's about the float more than it is the short float. So Tesla, it didn't instantly give up everything. It wasn't... in terms of the breakout yesterday, like it actually tried to consolidate and hold. But when in doubt, zoom out. It's obvious to see that the 82 level is going to be back in play for us because you bounced off of that twice. Then the daily chart's it's just whatever. The daily chart has been telling the same story of goodness off the 50 period and pretty much no follow through for Tesla. But when you pop the 15 back up here, 80 last week, if you get to 80, that's the buy. It has been for the last week, and then even before then, it was a good breakout price. So if we lose 182, 180 stands out there for Tesla. What I don't like about the move yesterday in Tesla is, hey, whoop-de-doo, look where it went, right into the high 180s. It cannot seem to break past that level and then turn on an absolute dime. So the good news is you've still got potential higher lows going into like a local break. But even if it breaks 189 this week, it's probably running a couple of bucks into that 191 as well. So 180, I like the level. I think 82 can get tested at the open. You can play with that. Rivian, as we were saying before, though, huge rally off that $10 level. $10 has been that 50-period moving average. 1130 has been a resistance for a couple of weeks. There's your rounded bottom into an 1130 break. I even like a dip if it breaks 11 down to like a 1060. So a couple of EV names on the mind. And just a reminder, CCL does report this morning that in typical Carnival fashion, it won't be until closer to the open because that's how they roll. I think it's expected at 9:15, which,
Yeah.
why anybody reports at 9:15 in the morning is beyond me. I still don't understand the logic behind reporting 15 minutes before the open, but whatever.
It is a strange one. It is a strange one. They're actually down 11% this year, so we'll see if Carnival can get going as well. Opposite of Royal Caribbean, up 13 or 14%. Look, yesterday we had this break right here, this 50-period break right at the end of the day, and it was a fun one for sure, and it ripped. And it got going and then stopped at those levels that Neil was talking about where we're going to open up at 184, 184.50 up to 185. So right now, I'd like to see it dip back into the areas that we were buying yesterday, 183. That story doesn't sound great. The market's up, Tesla's up, so we want to buy this name. Yeah, I still think it has a $200 target on it, honestly. I mean, this is really coiling. Like, if you take away the name and all the sort of the negativity sometimes when we think about Tesla and the EV space, and there's just, you know, hold on, that's not good. There it is. And you just were looking at this stock, I would say that this would be a buy, honestly, because you're above the 50-period moving average, you're coiling up, you're starting to go. There's just one catalyst away from going either way, but more protection and support to the downside. And I just think you're a break away, like 190, a clean hold up there for a couple days, then you probably get to 200, and then we look at this level here, 205. So if you get to 205 from 180, you're 10% higher. So I think there's room to run here for Tesla. I kind of like the levels here above 180.
Huh.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
We're talking about Uber. Higher again this morning. Pretty good day yesterday into what ended up being a kind of choppy market back and forth. We're positive here once again this morning up to 72.70. It's Piper Sandler with a positive note this morning. Raising their price target on Uber to 88, not a huge one, 288 from 86. So better part of $17 to the upside, according to them, for Uber.
And it's not for the reasons we typically expect for a ride-hailing company. The brokerage says the gig economy companies have higher margin advertising opportunities and sees about $5 billion possibly in ad revenue by 2027. They make comparisons with Cart and says they could, they're a sleeping giant, Uber is, and then they could overtake Cart in terms of in-app advertising by the end of this year. So let's see how they do. Interesting story.
Yeah, daily chart looks pretty good here, holding higher on that pullback to $70, guys, for Uber.
Yeah, it's been a good look for them. I won't lie, I'm taking a few more Ubers in the last week than normal, and that's probably going to continue. So I'm doing my part as a shareholder. But I'm not completely convinced it's broken the trend, which, that sort of sell off the 80 level, like triple top. You haven't really, you've broken the 50 period, you're holding the 50 period now. I want to see this thing break 74 and then hold above that, and I'll be a lot more convinced. With the market trying to give back a little bit, and then you start to worry, okay, if there's any kinks in the armor when it comes to the economy, then this would be something that I think would be weak if there was any pullback in the U.S. economy. That said, you can look at the macro all you want. The trade is pretty clear. We always talk about support and resistance. Well, you can't look at support and resistance and ignore the fact that this essentially just sat 71 top, 69 half bottom, and then is breaking that out today. It failed that break yesterday. It's breaking it out today. Anytime a stock does this, the first look is a dip back into previous resistance areas. I think that might take you underneath 71 into the high 70s, so it might not be as clean as, hey, stick a bid at like 70.05 or something like that. But yeah, I think that should be on the radar for Uber. There's a few other names that I like a little bit better, as we said, Rivian, some chip names out there, that ARM potential 150 break, doesn't have to happen, but if it does, I'm going short for sure. But Uber, I like what's going on here, finally breaking out that week and a half long channel.
Yeah, look, this was a name that, like, 3 months ago, I was saying this is a name that I definitely want to buy on dips, and then didn't do it. Just got, I don't know, wasn't sure about that whole robo-taxi thing. You heard me talk about that, and then whether or not the economy was going to hold up, and then if it wasn't, then, this was going to head to the downside. But now that it seems like, we will get those interest rate cuts, consumers still spending it as much as they are going out. It's been a great summer for that. It's been rainy around here, but, a lot of traveling happening. So, yeah, I mean, you're going to get Carnival cruise coming up soon, Airbnb. I mean, these names continue to work, and, they were really trailblazing in this space. So, Uber Eats is still a big part of it. Definitely missed opportunity down there at the 200 period. So, yeah, it's only up 10%. So it's not like, you missed a whole bunch, but I feel like you could have started to buy around 66, 64. Bottom and then used even the 200 period. So if it does come back in, I think that's a good little long. But again, just like Tesla, you're starting to base out, obviously not as long, but you're still above the 50 period. So a break of 74, again, is sort of the trade that I think for a swing is a good one. 74 break up to 82 or so for Uber.
Probably. We were just talking about that Google and Facebook note this morning. Just reading a couple of things on this Boeing Spirit airline potential deal. There's an offer, anyways, $35 a share coming across the table from Boeing to pick up Spirit. I mean, this has been rumored for quite some time that this could potentially happen. This is going to be another one of those deals that's very tough to get put through regulators. Boeing downside here this morning on this. If you flip over to SPR, a little bit of volatility, but I mean, both pretty light on volume so far.
Yeah, these are going to be after 9:30 kind of deals. So the deal here is switching from an all-cash deal to an almost all-stock deal. As Brendo mentioned, $35 a share. That's a premium versus what it closed out yesterday. The initial discussions, as I mentioned, about all-stock deal, they estimate the stock-based deal would require issuing about 22.7 million new Boeing shares. It's about a 4% dilution for stockholders of Boeing. And we already know that Boeing used to own Spirit back in 2005 when they divested it.
Trying to bring it back in-house. Going on a vacation end of August this year. We'll be on 3 flights in total. Not a single Boeing plane will be touched during that vacation this year. So what are you going to do?
See, Brennan's doing his part to bump up Airbus stock, which is down 11% this morning. They're getting smoked. If you think it's bad, well, yeah, if you think it's bad for Boeing, yeah, we'll look at I'll pull it up in a second. But the Spirit Airlines thing, just keep in mind with this, like even if there's like, look, whether they accept the deal or not, whether the regulators like it or not, Spirit's a supplier for Airbus as well. So it's like logistics that they have to figure out there, because that'll be a big concern. Well, if there's like 2 companies and Spirit's supplying both of them and Boeing wants to own them again, well, what are you going to do? So like, they'll have to figure some stuff out. The fact that it's not a cash deal, I think that speaks for itself. The stock gapped down on that news because you got to own Boeing stock even if the deal happens. And Boeing did a bit of a false break at $180 yesterday. It's just a round number. It's not a huge level or anything, but it's been trying to go. Like you've got higher lows and higher highs on Boeing, which, when was the last time we said that? It's been a while since you've been able to say that on a daily chart. There's, higher lows into higher highs, and it attempted a breakout yesterday. Unfortunately, I don't know if this is the kind of news that gives you the catalyst, but if this can get through 181, it does have the makings of a little mini breakout into 200 set. But I just don't see the catalyst that gets this up $4 or $5 on a day where they're announcing this all-stock deal instead of cash. That's kind of a negative. So I'll have to put that one on the back burner. The only trade I would be looking for would be when it eventually can break this out, and only because I said it. Airbus on their report, down 12% over in Paris. And that chart not looking great either. Randy in the house.
Randy's in
with the fresh cut, with the...
He's got it.
You got to show it all off.
Airbus is crashing.
Airbus, yeah.
I was waiting for the pun there, yeah.
I saw it in the chat already. Airbus, more like short bus.
Nice.
Today. My bad, everybody. Everybody's giving me, you know what, on the chat. I did forget to attach the sticky note, so now it is attached. So I was trying to get all the cue with everything today by showing some charts and everything like that, and then I forgot to attach the note. So there it is. Thank you to everybody for pointing that out in the chat, because you know, if you hadn't, I wouldn't have noticed it. So, yeah, look, Boeing had a great run. I mean, and then now it's been disastrous for the last couple of days, right? So, I mean, the last week and a half, we went from 190, 195 down in here to 170 again. So this is a good sell spot, right? You got all the way back into April, just kind of like really can't get out of its own way. I think Boeing is fine as an investment. I think it's just gonna like kind of hover around these areas. If they ever get everything figured out, we already know the monopolistic business that they're in. So I like it down here. If you're gonna say get this garbage out of here, then it's basically you're trying to buy some 170s into 165 and then really getting nervous about a 160 break. So other than that, I think it looks good down here. You know, it has this potential again. You know, this is what happens when stories are good. This is what happens when stories are bad. So let's see if we can get something else going here for Boeing. I feel like it's fine. You know, they've wanted to buy Spirit. The regulators kind of like that idea to sort of shore up everything. So let's just wait to see what winds up happening. Just got to push through. And I don't know what's going to make that happen or not. And it is going to be sort of the regulators and the different jurisdictions and all this kind of stuff. So we'll leave that be for now. But I think Boeing has some good, you know, sort of tailwinds that it could catch at some point. It's been so bad.
Well, it doesn't.
At some point, yeah, exactly. At some point, something's going to turn around, right? All right, to the screen with Adair, I believe.
Talked about Rivian and Tesla earlier today. Another EV name on watch is going to be XPeng with this upgrade from Citigroup, though it's trading slightly lower on the day. Cloudflare getting an upgrade from UBS, up about 2.5% right now. The Gap getting this TD Cowen upgrade, and Disney getting a buy rating from Goldman Sachs here with a 125 price target. Good look for DIS. On the downgrade side, Penn Entertainment getting this downgrade from Raymond James. Sea Limited trading down about 4% after a JP Morgan Chase downgrade. Goldman Sachs downgrading Paramount here with a $9.50 price target. And last but not least, Morgan Stanley giving Double Verify a downgrade here to end the list, guys.
Oh, man.
No, don't downgrade Double Verify.
I can't believe they did that.
And the market's done. We can just pack it up and go home. We're going to zero. Double Verify is the pillar of the entire stock market, as far as I'm concerned. But you know what? Disney at 100. It's kind of it's been a thing, and it's not there yet. We like round faces. We like that smiley face or whatever the heck we're trying to call it, and it's trying to do that now. So first things first, you got to make a bottom. Maybe that's done. You can argue that you can't determine whether or not you've made a bottom till it breaks back out of this top, but you know the 100 level has held. It was underneath it for essentially all of one day, and then you know, a couple of early closes and opens beneath that price. Now you're starting to round up. I think Disney's getting interesting again. And if it can break 104, like just break this lower high, I think it's got some room to rally. The problem with Disney today is, you know, a portion of their business obviously is going to be cruise lines, and Carnival is going to report today. So this could be a tricky day depending on what happens with Carnival to look for this to make that full rounded bottom. But yeah, I do like Disney. It's going to be on the watch. If it didn't hold the 100 level, I'd be thinking just continuation of trend. But this is an opportunity for it to actually hold a significant bid for the first time and make a higher low after earnings. So, you know, we'll keep it on the radar. Probably needs to break 104 for me. A retest of 100. I think you got to wait for the 200 period down at 98. Another downward trending stock that just requires patience.
Yeah, look, we have it written on here. We told you there's going to be a few different names here today on the sticky note. So, you know, 101.50 to 102 there for Disney. Finally, we get the upgrade there. Goldman Sachs with a price target attached now, my bad, with a price target there of 125 for Disney. So for me, yeah, I like the name. I like the stock. I still invested in this. We're long lower than this, and we were getting it out on stages all the way up. We didn't get everything out at 125, but that's the high where it's come from, right? And that's the Nelson Peltz. So I don't know. It's kind of they've upgraded it to this price target right at the highs there. So again, I feel like there's some accumulation. I'd rather it be above 105 than anything else. But right now I like it. I think the dip buy into yesterday's support is something that cannot be ignored for me. So I'll be watching Disney, although I'm not super impressed with the move. It's only up 0.46. The market, although better than the ES, I don't want to compare it to the NASDAQ, but I guess it's okay. So, all right, I thought the ES was up a little bit more than that. All right, so yeah, I kind of like the long let's put some bids near 102 and see what happens with Disney. We can check the imbalance locator quickly. I don't see Disney on here. I don't see anything of any real significance for myself that I'm looking at yet. So New York Community Bank, yeah, 50,000 now. All right, Disney 102, I like that stock.
One more thing, Amazon I just saw pop up here on a little bit of a volume spike there. There was really no movement or follow through behind it, but they just announced Prime Day. Prime Day is coming up in a couple of weeks, July 16th and 17th. So Ramin, get your shopping list ready.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on the retailers. We know, Brendo, that credit card debt all-time high. The consumer has been absolutely squeezed. We've been seeing, rumblings here and there about higher default rates for car loans, for credit card defaults. So I'll have to keep an eye on that. But yeah, I'm definitely personally excited to get some discounts.
I remember last year we were talking about it just a couple days before it started, I think, and we all went through it, and there was really nothing exciting last year. So we'll see if anything's different this year. But yeah, holding higher here so far. Pre-market after an ugly day yesterday. Hey, my session discontinued.
Dun, dun, dun. It was TradingView, right? Like it tried to show me a bunch of ads yesterday and all that stuff. Thank you, TradingView. Thank you, Randy, for the refill on the coffee. You gotta have the coffee. Can't get that on. You can get a coffee maker on Amazon. I'll tell you what I'd like to see on Prime Day. Hey, Prime Day, how about you get like, I was looking for pads. I can find pads for these stupid things. Yeah, you can get pads for here, but I want like a better option for pads on like the actual handle of your crutch. Because really, like my hands are all sore as hell. I use my hands every single day to trade. So I don't understand why, knowing full well, like it's one of those products like crutches, like you know that it's going to be hard on the person using them. There should be a million options for better grips on there. Otherwise, you'll see me in like fingerless gloves or some utter nonsense like that. Look, Amazon failed a breakout yesterday. What I loved about Amazon was the local high break. And what's interesting is when I was putting in last week at the end of the week, we're like, yeah, what were the trade ideas of the week? I was like, oh, local high break into the high into the all-time high on Amazon. So it actually, if you look closely enough, it got there in the aftermarket to break that local high, right? So that's this 188. When we give that, like it hadn't happened. It was like down here when I'm talking about it and making up that and making that no. But right at the open, it dips into that previous high, 188.5, dips into there, goes right to 191, which is the all-time high, tags in, it's like, yeah, okay, there's your move. That's all we're going to do. And right back into the bottom. So unfortunately, I think when things make a high of a day pullback, I'm initially bearish on them. Just by rule. Like it's a failed breakout of a local top that made another test and fail of a big high. And every time it's done this, it's at least trended for a few days. So this would be day 2 after it failing that top. I think that puts the opening range 188 in here. If the market pops, to me, Amazon, that previous 188.50 where I thought the breakout was coming from that took you to 191, that's a short level. I might as well just mark it off. The chances that you get there's other stocks that are stronger right now that I feel would have a better chance to get up there. But Amazon, yesterday's breakout level, it's a breakout on the daily, at least it was, or that support level turns into resistance for me. When you fail an all-time high, at least short term, I'm going to turn bearish on the stock, at least for the next day or two. It doesn't mean it's not going to take that high again. I'm just not betting on it today.
Yeah, it's funny because yesterday we had mentioned that. We're like, okay, here goes Amazon right back into its all-time highs. And then it just got hit all afternoon. And I mean, I don't know. We looked at this on the recap show and trying to find some spots. Nice little bounce and then that fade right back in. I mean, everything got hit right at the close, right? So that's the thing. When I'm looking at some of these numbers here today, I really feel like it could get rug pulled because like we're just kind of where we were back at 350 right now. Yet we're saying like, oh my God, it's up 0.39. It's like we had such a big move down there yesterday. All we've done in a lot of these names is just reclaimed the last 10 minutes of the day. So like if the market was still open, I'd be shorting the living crap out of these levels right now. So why do I all of a sudden think it's a long today? I don't. So yeah, man, even now, I'm glad we're talking about this because it was not on my radar. Amazon 187, to me, this is a great short. So Amazon 187, I mean, I like the short even more now. I'm talking myself into these shorts. So I mean, I like it. I like the short today, guys. But not as bearish as I was yesterday. All right. Do I want to go over AMD and NVIDIA? Yeah, we'll do some of that later on, CompuCare. I'm sure some of those names will most likely be on the rundown coming up very, very
it's a
soon.
pretty safe bet.
I think that's a pretty safe bet as yesterday. And
NVIDIA, yes, AMD probably.
yeah, for NVIDIA has been, on my sticky note for a long time. I ran into Randy and he was like, oh, here's your coffee. So I was like, oh, cheers.
Rancer comes through.
Oh, yeah, by the way, you were probably asleep, so I didn't message you. I'm watching the Jays game with my daughter. It's 7th inning. All right, good. Bassett's still in. He loads the bases. Okay. Gets out of it. Great. 6-2 still Jays. Perfect. Watch a little bit of the Stanley Cup. Goes into intermission. Put it back to the Jays. Oh, it's 6-4 to the Jays. Okay, still winning. Probably pretty good. We've lost 6 in a row. About time we get back going. We're in last place. Watching the game again, and I'm like, baseball, honestly, I like the Jays, but come on, Stanley Cup, Game 7. So I'm watching it, get an update on my phone because I get all the scores on my phone. Boston wins 7-6. I'm just like, nah, man, I'm not.
In their defense, A, they suck, and B,
they're rebuilding.
Their closer's injured, and their backup closer's also injured.
We would rather them lose, right? Honestly, it does. I know the draft isn't super key, but probably good to get a top 5.
The guy that you want, like the thing about the draft is it'll be like next year's draft. Like the draft that's happening,
right,
next draft that's already determined. But like we do want a top pick.
Is that how it works? Is just slotted in? There's no
there's no lottery.
Balls,
there's no lottery in baseball. The only thing about baseball is like the whole signability nonsense. So sometimes the top player doesn't always go number 1. It's happening in the NBA actually.
Is there a top player?
Well, there's kind of a best player from France. Is like the 7-foot center. I forget his name, but
isn't this the worst?
He might not go to Atlanta because he wouldn't work out for Atlanta because he wants to go to Washington apparently. So now Atlanta might not take him, which to me is like silly. Like if you think he's the best player, he won't work out for you. Just take him. And
at the end of the day, money talks.
Force his hand and then make a trade. You get more out of it. Money does talk, but it's a horrid NBA draft.
Oh, it's really bad when the NBA draft, and I'm listening to ESPN radio. And the only guy they're talking about is Bronny James, who's supposed to go late 2nd round.
He's not in it.
I'm like, what? The guy averaged 4 points at USC. 4
He's
points.
not a 2nd round player. If you like, it's
the Jays will take. The Raptors will take him though. I'm pretty sure.
They probably should.
They have so many 2nd round picks. So
where are the futures at, boys? Let's go back to the desk.
Yeah.
Anyway. Let's get into everything else we need to know here heading towards the open on a Tuesday morning. We'll get into the rundown. First, we'll have a look at the overall market.
55.17, guys. That's where we closed out yesterday on the ES September contract. But it's generally that same area that we were consolidation area high between the 12th and the 16th. We're right there, so we're using that former area of resistance as support. If we can hold this 55.25, 55.10-ish area, we'll use that as support to the high side. Let's see what we do at the 50-point area yesterday. We couldn't break there on a closing basis.
If you haven't done so, make sure you go to the website and sign up for the absolutely free morning watch list. Wait for that pop-up to show up, enter your email address, and that's it. And then it just comes magically every single morning with all your homework done for you. Stick around this morning as well, 11 o'clock. KO in the building. Kevin O'Leary going to stop by. We'll get his opinion on where the market is so far this year, what we can expect going into the second half of the year, election year. So a lot to discuss and consider for the overall market. NVIDIA. Yeah, worst session since April yesterday. It was pretty ugly right from the word go. We end the day yesterday at day lows, essentially. Huge bounce in the pre-market here, though. It's been 2-3 in a row here, so about due for a bounce here.
Yeah, Brendo, NVIDIA stock has dropped aggressively from the highs 3 consecutive trading days, briefly after becoming the world's most valuable company. It really depends on who you talk to here for the reasons for the sell-off. A lot of people saying taking profits. Some people pounding the desk saying overvalued. You just got to know that it's tripled in price over the past year, Brendo. So already big moves.
Pretty active so far this morning as well, trying to get back above 121.5 here, guys, for NVDA this morning.
NVDA.
So here, I'm just trying to pull it. This price not letting me pull over. So trust me, bro. When this splits, I just like to throw it in there every now and then. When it's split, that first wick down, the first day, because it's not letting me pull over here, was to exactly 100, pretty much at 117. It might have been like 117.04 or something like that. It didn't get there yesterday, unless you count the aftermarket, when it did tag that 117. So I still think that's the level to look for a dip. I had 127 marked off here. Let me just throw that back in there on NVIDIA. Look, when a stock does this, and you can pull up a daily chart all you want, but remember that every recent high is an all-time high for NVIDIA. And we talked about that with Amazon just recently. Like, you fail an all-time high, it's a short till proven otherwise. If the bounce was more shallow and we're still down at 117, I might be thinking about, hey, let's go dip buying off the 117. That was the spot I wanted yesterday. Still take the shot. If it loses, great. That's our level. It's at 121 bucks. You're just as close to the opening range top or the pre-market high 125 as you are to that 117. So it's just as close to the short zone as it is to the support. Everything else is kind of diddling in the middle. So gonna have to play this one by ear when it's in the middle of the range. If it fails out in front of 125, I think you look curl there. Maybe there's something at 120, although it's 117 that I like better. And I won't have another chance to mention them because we only talk about the chips when we talk about NVIDIA, it seems. So ARM, still 150 breaks, I'm going short. Maybe it breaks today, maybe it breaks tomorrow. I feel at some point, like Thanos, it is inevitable. ARM wants this 150 level. If it goes, I'm not saying it's going to completely flush, but when there was a similar support level after a break, like a huge level that held for a long time, in this particular case, it is the top after that consolidation that is turned into the bottom. So this high going all the way back into February has turned into the local support. That wick on the daily's BS because it's just a dark pool wick. So 150, not really looking for a long off this level. I'm just looking for it to break down on ARM. And if it bounces from here, I could easily see it in the 160s to 62 before I'd look short. So ARM 150 break, the order's going in as soon as the market opens.
Yeah, I really like ARM. Look, I wrote it down here again. It's going to be I don't know, it's not the number one idea, but it might as well be. I mean, I really like NVIDIA short again. I mean, we hit this yesterday. We waited for this pop to happen, and then we just shorted it like a bunch of times and then really hit it, and then we hit it again up here on the short, and we got the long break here and was able to get out before all of this happened. So again, like, it's this, I'm preaching the same stuff, man. It's like, if we can get anywhere back to these levels that we shorted yesterday, I mean, giddy up. Like, rating for 127 would be fantastic, and I think that, that you could get up there. I mean, it's still up 3%. This thing could go up 5%, so it's not out of the question. But at the end of the day, if we can get any chance to get short, I'm already waiting at 124, so if that could happen, great. But we're just kind of at this area anyways, 121, 121, 50. This could be a great short as well. This time, though, today is different than yesterday. Yesterday, we were underneath VWAP. We were underneath the 200 period moving average. Now we are clear over them. So I do think that there is dip buy opportunities as well. Come into here, then retrace back up into 120. That could be a possibility, and we could hold off of 120. So this is going to be such a key area to give us the trend for NVIDIA because it's only at 121.50 right now, 121 almost, basically. So you're only $1 away from a decision point. So are we going to hold 120 or not? If we go underneath it, let's fade this thing all day. If we stay above it, then I think we can either target a short at 125 or just play the longs down here. So for me, the first area I'm looking is to fade pops. And again, I don't think it's really necessarily a pop if we just get to like 123. I'd like to see us extend a little bit. First short would like to take would be 124. Let's just see how the action builds out here on the NASDAQ. So, you're trying to climb up. We don't have huge amounts of numbers or anything coming through. So we'll wait to see what happens with NVIDIA today and it being up 3%. Look, people are buying the dips. They're always going to buy the dips in this name. You want to buy the strongest names. We actually talked about that with Michael Noss. And it's just like, why are you buying names that keep hitting the bottoms? It's because we think there's value there.
Yep.
But I mean, the reason why some of these names are hitting highs is because there is value. No, we don't have to think about it. We know it's performing well.
Yeah.
That's why it's exceeding its price targets and beating the street and so on and so forth. So NVIDIA probably will do that their next quarter. They may not. and it could continue to fall down, but we still have a month away. We're still a month away. We're a day away from Micron. So I still feel pretty good about buying some of these dips, and we'll wait to see if that 117.
Yeah, Micron's earnings.
I know it's
flyer too. Like,
yeah, that's tomorrow.
The thing, like anything in that chip space, it's like, obviously the earnings have generally been good, but if you don't come through, you can get really, really punished. So I don't. We saw. I mean, ARM. I remember ARM when it eventually tanked. It was nasty. Sorry, we're gonna go to crypto next. That's why I have Mara up. But yeah, It's not to say that I'm worried about Micron. The good news is it already fell like a bunch. But yeah, you got to watch out and don't go into chip earnings with preconceived notions about what should happen, because you've got to be able to react. You can't just say, well, I want to buy a dip in NVIDIA, and then when NVIDIA has its earnings, you're expecting this is going to be the time that it drops on earnings. But then, like, what happens if they blow it out and it's up 10%? Then you're out of your wits. So I'm keeping my mind open with Micron. But let's see what's going on with crypto, because Mara, I feel the reverse of yesterday, I believe.
All right, let's go to crypto here. Here is Bitcoin trying to hold back above 60,500 once again. This morning, we had that washout after the equity session closed yesterday. It's been a nice bounce ever since then. There's that same washout on the ETFs. IBIT got flushed pretty good after the close. I was sitting there watching that. Back to almost 35 here this morning. So, yeah, a lot of analysts with this sentiment so far this morning, it seems. There's been 2 or 3. I saw notes suggesting they think this move's not done. Yeah,
well, it's now 7 consecutive days of net outflows from those Bitcoin spot ETFs. 51.53 billion still invested, so still a sizable amount there. The outflows over the past 2 weeks have totaled about 584 million. Investors, though, haven't significantly increased their short position in Bitcoin, so it's been selling your already profitable position, so it's indicating sort of a wait-and-see approach. And interesting geographic distribution here, Brendo. 475 million flew out from the United States, about 110 million from Canada, but in countries like Switzerland and Brazil, they're still adding to their positions, so it's geographically based.
This is that area from early on yesterday that was acting as support temporarily in the pre-market, but eventually got let go. So we'll see if we can hold today, guys, for these ETFs.
I mean, the good news is, like, you broke 60,000 and then reclaimed it today. So in the temporary, that level is held. And I think we showed it yesterday. The 58,000 level technically was just as good. I mean, 60 is a nice round number, but that 58 level obviously is held again today. So you bounce off that, you bounce back above 60. I think there's an opportunity for recovery. I'm looking at Mara. Like yesterday, Mara didn't work. It was the first idea, like, short. I took like 4 swings at it, so that's the only reason it was my worst stock. It could have been something else, but I really wanted this if it was breaking underneath that 19. You can kind of see why. Like, to me, the day that it gets under there, I think your first stop headed potentially to $17, just looking at the 200-period moving average on Mara. But for now, it is back above 19 even. This is one of those over-under plays. If the stock is, as long as we hold 60,000 and we don't tank in Bitcoin, and as long as Mara holds above 19, I think it's a long. If it loses 19, I want no part of it. It's that simple. So let's let the stock open up. That's kind of that interesting line. It's a good level. When you look at that, daily chart, you can see that it held for a while. And even though it broke several times, there were recoveries, and the recoveries have generally been pretty sizable off of that level. Not a lot of pre-market volume in it, and you got to keep your eyes on Bitcoin. I mean, if I see Bitcoin tanking, you don't want to be sitting on the bid here. I think that goes without saying.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about with Coinbase as well. I mean, there are some great levels. I mean, I love the 220 area for a break long. We are moments away from the biggest report of the season.
Carnival?
It's Carnival, baby, and we're getting ready for that. Yes, sir. Big Carnival here in Toronto comes every single summer. It's a big celebration, of course, where the newly drafted Bronny James will come with LeBron James and have a lot of fun here at Carnival. But what do they call it now? I think it's called something else, like Scotiabank's March of something. I don't know what it's called now. Okay.
Like
Caribbean.
It's Carabana.
It used
Carabana.
to be Carabana. And then now it's like the Carnival
Caribbean Carnival brought to you by insert corporate nonsense. I call it Caribbean.
Uber, brought to you by Uber. Anyways, they'll be coming up soon. All right, so look, I was just looking at Coinbase. I just saw it because I know it's 9:15. That will be coming through, so we'll be able to watch out for that. But yeah, this 220 level was just coming in right here. So I just kind of like this. It was that sort of drop zone there for Coinbase right here. So I just kind of like this break higher and then just to get back up to the 200 period, which is still 232. So I think if we can hold out, that would be a good little run there for Coinbase. So I'm looking at a 220 break higher on that name. So let's see if crypto goes. If it does, I really think Coinbase will go with it right now. So we'll have to watch out for that. Here we go. Doesn't look like anything's out yet, but right now CCL printing lower, down 3%, guys.
And we used to have to say like the big game.
The big game.
Like yeah. Anyways, we were just talking about trademarks. SolarEdge technology downside this morning. This was after the close yesterday. Got absolutely crushed in a hurry here, down through 28. Trying to bounce right now, but yeah, 300 million in convertible notes due in 2029 announced after the close. So raising some debt. They also lowered their forecast.
Yeah, guys, this will be the lowest opening price for this name since 2017, September 2017 to be exact. Big move down here. Tough look. It's obviously a tough environment for solar. So some of the reasons it's going down, as Brendo mentioned, significant decrease in the free cash flow due to several factors, minority investments, extended credit terms to customers, working capital challenges, you name it. They're also having trouble collecting money from a bankrupt company that goes by the name PM&M Electric to the tune of $11.5 million.
51.6% in a month here downside, guys, for SEDG.
Yeah, so just the earnings are out for Carnival. It's got 11 cents per share, which is a beat. It was expected loss of 2 cents per share there. Sales beat estimates as well, so revenue was also a beat. It was down at 15.8. It actually tagged 16.95, so almost $17 to the upside here as it's continuing to do a lot of volume. Remember, the call is going to happen, obviously, off the open here, but so far, so good for Carnival. Oh, that daily chart. That 17 level is going to be the big one. If it can hold above 17, there's some breakout potential, a little overhead resistance on that. SolarEdge, I don't really have anything good to say about SolarEdge. So it's down over 10%, which means it'll open up the market SSR, like short sell restricted. There's not even like a green day to be found in the last couple of weeks. That said, when it's down this far and you do have the SSR and the bad news comes in, there's always a chance of like a dead cat bounce. So I might look at the $25 level. If it gets down there and I can see like a higher low get put in and there's a spot to risk 20 cents to try for a little bit of a long, maybe back into VWAP, like that sort of a play is what I would think about for SolarEdge. But yeah, not much. Like what can you say? Like usually you're just thinking short till it's not. It's just a little trickier when the stock gaps down 18%. When it's doing a gentle move down like this, you generally would just say to yourself, short any significant level that you can find. Here, it either fails from right here or like significant levels like 10% higher. So I might be looking for some kind of SSR bounce at some point after the open because it will open short sell restricted. Yuck, 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 SolarEdge.
Yeah, right here. So CCL just broke 17 right there. I was going to go long on almost like on this break here, 17.10, 17.13 or so. This wick high, we've already sort of been up here in the last couple weeks. So let's see if it wants to get going there. I also want to buy some 1650s now. Again, raise full year guide, beat on sales, and beat current EPS. So 11 cents versus 2. So they beat the street everywhere and raised. So I like Carnival right here up 3%. Let's see if we do get a little bit of a pullback. And the reason why we use 1650 is that was yesterday's high. I don't want to hold this all the way back. It could go red. I mean, I don't know enough about it. They'll have the call. And they see EPS 1.15, so $1.15 versus $1.10. So raise on that side. So yeah, possible upgrades coming for Carnival, but it already broke 17 and went to 07. So we're close to getting punched in here. We're going long on a break in and around 17.10 or so for Carnival. So wow, only 12 minutes to go and still a few more things to do. Tesla and DJT.
Just double checking there for you, Neil, on the time of the call. Actually, don't see that. I'll find that. What day is today's the 25th? Yeah, it's not even on there. We'll touch base on Carnival. I'm sure it'll pop up for us somewhere. Tesla, back to the upside this morning, as we said initially here. A little bit of a pullback right now, but yeah, a decent size recall here on the Cybertruck. I mean, clearly it doesn't matter so far this morning. Wild action yesterday. We get above 188 right out of the gate, and then that was it. It was downside ever after that, essentially right from 9:30 this morning for Tesla, but trying to bounce here this morning. Recall on the windshield wiper this time for the Cybertruck.
Yeah, so we know that they recalled 4,000 vehicles last time, something to do with the accelerator pedal. That was a bit of an issue that got fixed. So this time, 2 recalls. The first one, 11,688 cars. The windshield wiper, as Brendo mentioned. The second recall here, 11,383 Cybertrucks due to a trunk bed trim that may detach and become a road hazard for following vehicles behind you. So we'll have to see how this does. But if history is any indication, it pretty much retraces pretty quickly.
Yeah, and back to the upside after that huge reversal yesterday.
Yeah, it's really starting to go. Look, the CCL calls at 10 o'clock. At least that's what's expected. So just keep that in mind. You have plenty of time. You got the first half an hour at the open, so there's always plenty of trading opportunities. But if it's 9:50, if it's trying to take out 17 and it's 9:59, I'm not punching into a breakout trade as the call is starting, because anything can spook the stock, and I don't like that. Tesla, if we like the trend back into the upside, I don't know now whether the 180 level is going to come into play anymore. So, 182, that was just yesterday, kind of double bottomed out in front of 182 there. Earlier in the pre-market, 180 seemed pretty darn likely. All of a sudden, Tesla up 1%. That doesn't seem like a level that's likely to come into play at the open. So that 182 will be the first stop for Tesla. I think you're too far away from resistance. Clearly, if it gets to 189 again, it's already a double top. So I think that's a shortable level, 189 to 190. But Rivian is much more likely, I think, to come into play, breaking out this local high. So that's the chip name. That's the EV name that I think I'll be in first, would be Rivian taking out this 1130 level. Big bounce off the 10 again. And if it does dip, I like 1060. So that doesn't, $11 is where it closed. So a bounce off there is pretty reasonable, as there goes the high of the day on CCL. It just took out that 1707. But I might take an 11 dip. I know I want the 1060 level on RIVN, and 1130 break is already in. That I will take pre-market, and I will take at the open as well on Rivian. So that order's been in pretty much all morning.
I was just reading what our friend put there, that Brendan Ayuk wants to go to Washington. I don't know, okay.
He's
be
good
fine
friends
for me.
with
Yeah, so it's whatever. Then maybe I'll just draft Daniels.
Well, I have that other receiver there. I don't want him going there.
Yeah, I think whatever. I there has to be lots of mouths to feed over there. I don't think either one of those guys are hopefully not ball hogs, but they both need targets.
McLaurin.
They both need targets. Yeah, actually, there's a lot of mouths to feed over there. Okay, so yeah, I still like that 180. I talked about how I think that this is a long now that we're above, we've consolidated. So I kind of want to look long. I think these recalls are relatively minimal. I'm not too worried about windshields and stuff like that. I think that's easy to repair. I don't think it's a high cost item. But yeah, this break of 185, 185.50 looks pretty good to me. But again, we're still a little ways away here. Still 8 minutes. We'll get those imbalances to see what winds up happening. But I think I like that break long. We've seen it happen before. There's the move right here through 185 all the way up to 188. So if you take that break, I think you got a target in and around maybe this bottom of 187. So that's going to give you about $2. And I think $2 to the downside is probably too much. So I like the risk to reward here. You can get out on like a 185.50 break. Maybe even, I don't want to take 186, but yeah, 185, 185.50. I think you could even get back out. Even if it comes back to 185, VWAP will be at 184, 184.50 at that point. So I think it's $1 worth of downside there to possibly get going if the market likes it. We've seen that before on kind of random stories with Tesla. It can definitely get going. So we'll see. Starting to go now. We'll see if those imbalances come buy side. But if they do, you probably break that 185.50 right off the jump anyways. So that's going to be a good level. I look to go long 185.50, and it's not on the sticky note, but I missed it.
All right, DJT, 2 days in a row here, back higher. What a buy that was at the open yesterday. $30 up to 37 now. Better part of 10, almost 11% here in the pre-market on top of that move yesterday. There's nothing new just catching this bid after that equity raise the end of last week.
Yeah, exactly it. I mean, I think personally, I just think it's, you know, a running up in anticipation of the first debate, which is on Thursday. So we'll have to keep an eye on DJT until that time. But yeah, as Brendo mentioned, they raised some money. They had some money unlocked vis-a-vis the SEC, and that had this thing moving. But I really think that the debate is going to be the number one.
Yeah, I got to go back to the beginning of the month here to find some levels to look at now, guys, for DJT.
Yeah, I have a suspicion that you could get a sell event on the debate, but we'll see what, like, the stock could do it before, so I don't want to, you know, just automatically assume you're going to be up around this 40 to 42 level, which is, you know, the where you have to go back to, as Brendan mentioned, before you find a little something. I've paid for locates today, so if you do see a failure at 42, like it pops up there, tries to break out, and then flushes, like anywhere in this, like in this range, like 42 into 44, like if it's failing in that range, I think that's the spot where I would look for shorts. I don't love dip buys in this. When I sat down, I was really thinking, okay, well, it's got to be 33 to base something off of. And like maybe there's this 36 level, but you know, with CCL going, we're probably going to be in some Rivian. You throw in the chip names, and maybe ARM makes a break. I don't know that I like the local level on DJT. If it starts trending to the upside, there's always a place to join it a little bit later on in the session, as we've always able to be found. So the 33 level, I think that would be a good spot. If somehow it gets down there, I could look for a bid on DJT, but it's not seeming that likely, up 10%.
All right, so here comes NVIDIA back in. We do get those imbalances, about $1 million or so to sell with already paired off 3. So it's going to come about $3.5 million or so to sell here off the open. So there's NVIDIA right now with that candle to the downside. So just if you guys are watching, you're like, hey, what just happened with NVIDIA? Well, this is what happened. It's your market on open imbalances. And it also sends Apple to the downside as well right there. So then you can see Apple just drifting from 210 down to 209.40s where we are right now. IBIT, again, I don't really worry about this because it's just going to follow Bitcoin, and Bitcoin doesn't care about these imbalances. Walmart, Snapchat, nah. So the big ones are right here. There's only really 2 on here. We do have CCL. I'm trying to get long. I told you off that 710, 713 break or so. But yeah, there's NVIDIA downside. Not huge, right? It did 400 million, 500 million shares yesterday. I have to double check it. But that's not a big number off the open, so I'm not worried about it. But it does show that there's sell pressure. Like, why is it not a buy? And then Apple as well, right? So there's sell pressure in both of these names. And I mean, there's been a lot of people saying, oh, it's crazy to try to go short again on this name, but we made a lot of money short yesterday, and I just want to try it again. So, and I feel justified a little bit now because we were talking about that short. It's just, you don't know if what's coming buy or sell, and it still could not work. So we'll wait for that one to come in, and then the other trade, I know Neil's in this right now, but Carnival is just dancing. So you got to wait for me on this one. We could just look. I mean, I'm almost in, so it's not like I'm waiting that much. Carnival right here, small buy, 80,000 at the bottom. So really nothing there for CCL. I want to dip buy into 80s, dip buy into 80s, dip buy into 50s as well.
FFI is doing a reverse split. So.
Oh yeah, and wasn't today CRM day?
I think Chipotle.
Yeah, CMG.
CMG. It's CMG. After today is your last day to trade. Well, I mean, if you like trading CMG at a ridiculous price or a super high price, then it's your last day to do it. Tomorrow, everybody else gets to have some fun with Chipotle. So if Faraday is down 32% because they're doing a reverse split, I think that puts it firmly in play today. It's already done 16 million shares worth of volume. Look, levels. Levels don't matter that much. I am looking for a dead cat bounce somewhere in this stock. And much like Solar Edge, it's like every single even level, like the 20-cent level, if it gets down to like 15 or something like that, that'll be in play for me. So if you're wondering why, oh no, what happened to Faraday? You know what's short, when you do splits, they're
Faraday.
Not good.
Oh my God.
And at the end of the day, we expect this reaction, but the squeeze after has happened before. So I will look for some kind of dead cat bounce. One more to get to. I didn't mention a firm good long yesterday. Little bit of a chance for some continuation here on a firm if it dips back into the breakout price, that 32, which was a level we liked for the break. If it dips back into 32 and can hold, it's got to hold that 32. 34 was the resistance we tried shorting in the afternoon show. So let's go to Sharif, and we've got 1 minute to the open.
About average true range all week, guys. Today we'll use ATR to gauge realistic profit targets. Catch that with Adair and I on How to Trade at 11.
Yeah, joined Adara and Sharif today with only a minute left, going over all the lessons. So that's a very important part of Trader TV.
ATR, baby.
Learn that up there, right here. Here we go. I'm waiting here on CCL in the 20s to see if we can get something out. So it just bounced off of 20. So we're long right now on CCL with only 30 seconds to go. We'll wait to see what winds up happening here on the U.S. Open. NVIDIA still continuing its downside push. We may have to get short early on this. Yesterday it was around 9. I should have looked it up around 9:33 or so that we finally took the short. But right now, 122 looking like a good level if it does bump up and kind of hover around. So that would be something with only 10 seconds to go right now. CCL hovering around flat, NVIDIA right here right now, and Apple trying to go lower as well. Here we go. 4, 3, 2, and bingo, bango.
Bongo.
As they say in New York, bing bong.
Bing
the
bong.
market is now open. All right, here we go. Nice move down for NVIDIA, immediately breaking through that 121 and looking to go lower. Remember, we did have that big sell imbalance, so a big red candle hitting the name right now. That is NVDA, and continuously going lower here. If we come over to the screen, we can see there it goes right now, 120 coming inbound on that one. Apple as well, whoosh, to the downside right there into 208.50. NVIDIA might have just found a bid at 20s, which we said was a possibility.
ARM is at, I'm out of CCL. It couldn't hold on to that
wow,
17
yeah, that's going
level.
down,
ARM is
down.
at 150, so the break on ARM is imminent. Well, okay, every time I do this, you guys know what happens. Like I talk about the stock that's about to break a big level, and then I stare at it and it doesn't break the level. So 150, it just bounced, it just got to 151. So look, if it breaks, I'm going short ARM through $150. If it happens, you guys will see the position pop in. We talked about it. But that dip, so like if the breakout doesn't hold, I could have scalped 10 cents. I did not. I'm looking for previous highs for a bounce play here on CCL. That'll be into the 1650 level. Or I can just jump into the breakout one more time above 17. But I want buyers above the 17. ARM still has not broken. NVIDIA, probably going to take NVIDIA coming down here to drag it with it. NVIDIA is just sitting in the middle of the range doing not much of anything.
Yeah, no, I'm
bro?
going to get punched. I'm in NVIDIA. Sorry, that was looking at CCL because CCL did break. We got more long down there at VWAP, which is what we want to do. We said we were bidding some 1680s, so we still have that. Okay, here we go, man. We have a new position, obviously. Forget about all this junk right now. We are now 50, 60, 70 cents now in the money on the NVIDIA short. I mean, we talked about wanting to get this short. We're short 121.37s right now. Here we go. It's a nice move to start the day off with a nice push down here on NVIDIA. Again, we talked about it. We took it. Fortune favors the bold. I don't know. Let's see what happens right now for NVIDIA. We've already taken out some there as that was a pretty quick move in. So let's wait. We're still waiting for 122, but that's a good move. Like that's 121.40 in there, a quick 80 cents. Let's see if, again, if the move wants to continue that way. We've held out for this move on CCL. So here we go. CCL back to the upside right here. Let's see if it wants to work. CCL's going. Palantir, big move down in. We forgot to talk about Palantir down here to 24.
We forgot about Apple.
And Apple too. I mentioned it, but it's ripping now.
Yeah, Apple made the breakout local high, 210 just came out on Apple. I didn't have my order. Oh, come on. ARM does not want to go. Like, NVIDIA is dragging it down, but there's a serious buyer on ARM at that $150 level. I still have my order to go in. I think you just got to look for dip buys in Apple. Now you're back above. I want strength over on CCL. It just managed to hold. Remember,
CCL,
Carnival's
baby.
call is at 10 o'clock. So you do you when it comes to that call. Ooh. But I don't like being involved when the call is on. So, you know, I'm going to try and trade everything around that call and respect that 10 o'clock hits, and I don't want to be stuck in a position. If I'm in the money in something, that's one story. But if you're out of the money, I don't think you want to fight it.
Here we go, baby. I agree. That's why we got out on some. Yes, let's go. Let's spin that money. Let's go, CCL. Uniman, CCL. But no, really, Palantir is the man for me right now. Oh, wow, did we ever hit this one, man? We talked about dip buying into $24. If you are part of Sticky Note Nation, there it is. Look at this trade. Bang, we got it today. That's a good one there for that name. And then CCL, Yeah, the name that won't give up, apparently. It did have that move down, but right now you are back to highs for CCL. Out some 26s, out some 25. CCL moonshot right now. It's 3 for 3 kind of day to start with here with NVIDIA, Palantir, and Carnival Cruise, although NVIDIA's coming all the way back up. What's up, Adara?
Penny stock on watch here, GLYC, glycomimetics, currently up about 56%. Topping turning around here, bouncing off this 40-cent level. As you can see, this one did drop quite significantly in May after a issue with the late-stage trial of its blood cancer drug. Trying to climb back up here on news that its CMO, Chief Medical Officer, bought 305,000 of the company's shares, average 26 cents a share. So keep an eye on GLYC insider purchase, guys.
So Rivian just took out top. We'll get to see something in a second. Rivian took out that top, pulling right back in. I have yesterday's high as the out. That's 11.12. That's kind of a random number, obviously, but you can see yesterday's high. It actually held that on the way back in. So not 11 even. It's underneath yesterday's top that we want to respect on Rivian. It is starting to go. I do respect the fact that Tesla is going in the other direction at this moment. Tesla is kind of tanking in here. Yesterday, there was relative weakness at moments when Tesla was weak, Rivian was strong. So it can work, but in the back of my mind, I got to respect the fact that Tesla tanking back into that 182. We do like that level on Tesla. Just got to be patient. Let it get there. CCL, I've taken a couple legs out. We're going to get one more in front of 17.5. There's no levels, but in the back of my mind, that conference call is going to happen. And when it does, I'd rather be taking profit and hold on to the dream than be stubborn about it. So Apple's trying to pull back. We'll get there in a quick little second. And I wanted to mention Affirm. We like the 32 level on Affirm. Affirm bounced off 32.60, so it's very much in the pocket, letting it come back in. I'd like to see support show up at that 32 even area, and then we can get involved in AFRM.
Yeah, we are now out of this, and we're going to tweet it out here with our CCL. Again, for me, an instant classic right there to the upside, right? Bought that dip into VWAP, boom to the upside, boom again, gets them out there at 50s. I mean, for me, I can't really do it too much better than that. So there it goes, man. Out on CCL, up, and our best out is 46s right there. I would say, so we did go long Rivian. I mean, this is, again, our #1 trade idea. So obviously, we're not going to get to those levels, but look at this fade back in for Rivian. So yes, sir, it's going to hopefully wind up being a decent trade here for Rivian, but we got to get something out, right? So let's see if we get a 27. And by the way, NVIDIA is right now, Professor, you might not be happy to hear this because I know we're trying to hold NVIDIA, but right now it's a 1 and trying to get to a $2 winner right down here at 120 and change. And yes, we have done it again here on Rivian. It was I don't mean #1, #2, you can rank it however you want there, but it is on the sticky note down at these levels. So there it is right there, man. It is fantastic. It is NVIDIA, and there it goes right now to the downside. It's just another one. We did it yesterday. We're doing it again today. So, I mean, try to stick with what we're talking about there. We wrote down the levels, but we told you that we were trying to fade this off of 122. So there it is. It's a nice move to the downside here. It's Rivian, and it is fantastic. And then, Rivian's right here.
Rivian is right still.
Yeah, Rivian's a big one for me right here. We're long at 11.20 on Rivian, trying to get some out, but it's NVIDIA was the big one.
Yeah, NVIDIA is definitely the big one. ARM does not hold that breakdown. We were able to get some out. It started to really flush. The spread opened up, obviously, through that 50 level. So we got some at the 70s. We got some at the evens. It would not break 149.5. We jumped out of it, got back in, jumped out when it couldn't hold VWAP. It's got to show me weakness under that level. I do want to be back in this short, but I don't want to be fighting it over the 150. Rivian's going to be a bit of a concern, but Apple did not give us that 210 level on the dip. It just came in, held VWAP. I think at this point, I don't want to chase it too far, but we do like that 210.5. Apple on an absolute tear. Market down, Apple up. I feel like that's a broken record. It's not the first time we've said that story. Let's go to Adara.
Another small cap on watch here, LRHC. This is going to be La Rosa Holdings up over 100% here. Float of about 6.92 million shares, so just under 7 million share float. They're trading higher over the last couple of weeks. Today, up after announcing they're going to white label their AI system. So LRHC to the upside, guys.
All right, we're just, let's just keep on getting it out right now. A little face slapper there on Rivian as we played that dip back in for our IVN, and it's definitely worked out in our favor right there. Okay, so the only trade that we're still up on, obviously we nailed CCL. We talked about that We got out. It went to 50. That was our target, so we got out of that one. That's 70-cent winner there. I mean, 70-cent winner on a $17 name. We'll take it. Hopefully, it gets a little more than that. But Palantir right now, we're going to get out if this breaks back through, right? So if this breaks through 90, let's just get out of it. The market's heading downside. So, you know, a stock that looks like this, we will be able to find a bottom at some point here, but I was just going to, oops, wrong button. I was going to play off of this, which was 90s. So that's 97, and then that very bottom is a 90. So I'm just going to play if it breaks 90, let's get out, because honestly, I don't want to hold this all the way back into 60s and 70s. Palantir is often a good name. It's just sometimes you got to wait for it, and sometimes I don't have patience. So let's try to wait as much as we can here for Palantir. We just got some 96s, giving us an average price of 02. So it'll be a 12-cent hit if it loses it, but we don't like to have losers on board, but sometimes they do happen. NVIDIA's dancing around that 120 area. We could probably get another piece out soon.
Yeah, higher low starting to come into Apple. RGS is halted. The tap is the indicated open price is at the actual high. So 1546 for those that are looking is where it halted. 1580 is the current tap. So that would be the pre-market top there. I don't have an order to go in on the reopen. Not that interested chasing RGS. I think we talked about that. DJT, if you're wondering, inside range so far. No 40 test, no 33 test. Nothing to be seen there. Rivian just came right back into that top. So it just made the breakout. It holds that bottom. I think you start consolidating above there, it can be an add on Rivian. CCL still, like it rejected the 50 over. So I don't want to give it all the way back into 17 even. I don't think that makes a lot of sense. If it can't hold 1740 by the time we get to the earnings call, then I'm jumping out of this stock. I'm not saying it's going to tank on the call, but a lot of times you can get some kind of a reversal on an earnings call. Going over to the other chip name, we mentioned ARM and NVIDIA, but not AMD. AMD is down 2% and just lost yesterday's support at $158. So if this one is going to be the one that breaks and goes, then I don't mind waiting for it to come back in, short a pop back into either the previous low or VWAP. And we talked about SolarEdge. I'm only looking for an SSR bounce. On SolarEdge, it's making a bit of one, but not at the level I wanted. 25 would have been where I'd get into it. So trailing stop on CCL, I'm going to hold. If it can hold 1740, then I'm willing to hold it into the earnings call in 15 minutes.
Palantir, trying to go back upside right now. So we just got some out here, 5s and then 8s, I believe, 9s right there for a nice little upside push there for PLTR. So so far, so good on that one. I'm just trying to figure out this NVIDIA trade and how much we want to actually risk here because it is not necessarily going. Okay, that's Palantir. This is coming back into us right now. I kind of want to wait for 122 now. I mean, the market is screaming higher right now. So, you know, I don't need to be into this. We can reload a small piece. Let's just put a little bit on might have missed that opportunity. Let's just put a little bit on here in the teens. If it can go, it can go. That'd be fantastic for us. We said we don't have much patience for Palantir, but I have patience for 15-cent winners. So we'll slap that one up right now and hit a little bit of a banger there for Palantir. And so far today, CCL, right? That's one of them. You know, NVIDIA here is another one. I mean, we talked about that one being $1.50, and we took advantage of that. And then Palantir is trying to go as well. That's 3 for 3, and then 4 for 4 is Rivian. So far, so good here in the morning. It's 9:42, lighting the lamp, not like the Oilers did last night, unfortunately. But hey, a great run, and congratulations to fans of Edmonton. I mean, you know,
there's a lot of every other team just wanted to be there. So.
Yeah, and they got Connor McDavid, who won the Conn Smythe, which is pretty fantastic. So, and he is the beast and the most talented NHL player of all time, I think. All right, so let's go back. Let's go back over to the desk with Adara.
NNE, another small cap to keep an eye on. This one's been running over the past few days. Yesterday popped up on this catalyst here for nanonuclear energy. That it acquired this IP for nuclear functions. Today, getting a price target increase to $39 from benchmark. NNE, guys.
What we're arguing is he might not be the best player of all time because you have to play in the era that you're in, right? We've talked about this, but as far as talent is concerned and straight skill, from what I've heard, I mean, this is just what I read and stuff like that and what I watch with my own eyes.
Hard to disagree. He's definitely
yeah, I mean, you see, the guy, they did the skills competition this year, and he took it all down, and everyone was just like watching this guy skate. They're like, okay, who's second place, right? So
like the stuff that, yeah, whatever. Like, I'm not a great hockey player, but I'll tell you, the ones that do know, they'll tell you the same thing. Like you hear the ones that play, they'll tell you all the same stuff. FFIE's trying to break out here. It is SSR. I was looking for a bounce off 20. I might just join it with some kind of a dip buy. But on this move back up, I mentioned that AMD was holding weakness. Hit enter again. AMD VWAP. Oh, seriously? Okay, AMD, cancel, does not get to VWAP. Holding 157.5, it looks like, and coming right back into the bottom. So AMD clearly weaker than the rest. I guess we'll look for the short at 157.5. VWAP sits just underneath 158. Trying to short a pop here in advanced micro devices, which is falling like an absolute rock. CCL's barely holding on to that 40 level. 15 minutes still to the conference call, so we have some time to work it out for CCL. And then Tesla, with Rivian starting to come back in, Tesla bounced off the 182, which is doing nothing for Rivian right now. So unfortunately for Rivian, it's still testing the lows when Tesla's already in the recovery spot. I guess it was the wrong pick to go to the Rivian breakout instead of the 182 level on Tesla. So I'll also have to fail on myself because the better play would have been the dip buy here on Tesla. Right off 182, pretty much on the dime.
Yeah, I want to try to find some more opportunities myself here as ARM is back to 152 right now. That could be a good short. So I'm already focused. I'm focused, man. So we're focused here on Palantir as that keeps on going to the high side. Now 15 cents in the money over there, but whatever. Let's go back over to our sticky note and see what's happening now with Disney as it's pulling back in. I'm still bidding 102. I like the stock. Rivian, okay, nice little dip down. We're long at 16s. Let's see what happens. It's already a positive name for us, but it is starting to lose its way. We liked 11 long, and then I said, like, give it back to 1075. I mean, that's where the 50 period is. And if you're just looking here at a 20-minute chart, it was kind of like sort of where I thought we got started yesterday. And again, it was just in the afternoon. We held this 1080 level. So I wanted to try to give it back down into here. I don't know. I don't have a whole heck of a lot of shares, but if I keep averaging in, then I'm going to say bye-bye to these kind of wins right now on NVIDIA because there's the reload. Let's take another 30 cents on NVIDIA, ho-hum, and then see if this gets back into the downside right now. Come on, NVIDIA. Let's go. We're at the highest spot we've been at all day so far here today as we hit CCL. We're lucky on CCL because we took that 1710 break, and that worked for a minute, but then it faded right off the open into what I guess was some sort of a sell imbalance. But we sat there on VWAP. That's the trade we want to make 10 times out of 10. So we're able to do that. Lucky enough that we were looking at it again, and I think that's part of it, right? You got to be on the stock to see it. So we were watching CCL, and we knew to put a bid there. So that's what we're doing right now, and we're just trying to figure out this market. As you mentioned AMD, it might be going the other way now because here comes NVIDIA back upside.
Yeah, it just came right in and filled me underneath VWAP there. 44 is that 170, 157 half, not 170, 157 half has been resistance. I'm on the bid in front of 157 to take some out in front of the low if it gets there. Apple's tracking back to the low. The Nasdaq's trying to take out the top.
Yeah,
Apple's pulling back. Everything, what is going up? I'm looking at some of the charts that I'm looking at. Why is the NASDAQ about to break the high of the day? But I just got to focus on what I'm in. I'm not really sure. I'm going to scan in a second. Yeah, you're bouncing exactly off of that 157. So I'm going to put something maybe out in front of the teens on AMD to get a fill. And then the low of the day sits 156 half. So we'll break a 157. I'll go like in the 156.80 range. So I just heard Sharif say Meta's carrying the market. It's the Nasdaq's breaking the top as we speak. Like, Nasdaq's about to take out the high of the day. Oh my goodness, yeah, Meta is super strong.
Yeah, I mean, NVIDIA just went up $1.50.
Yeah, Apple's pulling back.
Okay, that's good to hear.
All right, we'll look for Apple maybe right here, 209.80 as an out.
Yeah, we'll have to double check the economic calendar here because maybe 9:45. Did we just miss something? No, I don't think so. We didn't. Okay, so yeah, just a nice move up there in the market like instantly. So that's why when you see those kind of moves, you question, say, hey, did we miss something? But no, I just heard Adara say no, so that's all good. All right, well, okay, we are severely reloaded right now, like severely on NVIDIA. So we'll take some out and hopefully we can get some fills in the 60s and the 50s. And then if that does happen, man, then yeah, we will just be really stone cold chilling right now. As we get a 68, come on, man. Bring this pain down in. This is one of the largest amount of NVIDIA shares I've had in a long time. So we did really well on that yesterday. So here it comes in again into 150, 120, 150s there. Take some more fills as it comes in. We are short 90s right now. And again, I'm trying to like make the right plays here, but this name is pretty strong. So that's why we have to get something out as I just continue to watch it out here. Rivian's not doing too much and Palantir's just kind of chilling. But really, I have to pay attention to what's happening with NVIDIA. So maybe we could just take it some more out here in the low 70s, maybe, if we get lucky enough. But here it goes. Remember, our out is just above this 122, like 122.20 or something like that. So it does look like we did have an opportunity to get some out, which we did. Definitely not enough of it. Let's see what happens here with NVIDIA. There we go. We get some more pullbacks into the 80 area where we take a little bit more out. But for right now, NVIDIA just kind of hands off. And if it blows to the upside, we will give everything back that we made. But we have taken some profit out. I think this is worth the shot here, especially with the market pulling back a little bit. Did you get short Apple up there at all? Because I think that
Apple went all the way to 211.
Did it?
At the end of the day, I went for the dip in front of 80s. It looks like it's going to take it out there. Risk about 40 cents on Apple.
Oh, yeah.
We just wicked the bottom on AMD here.
Apple.
So AMD just wicked the bottom. Got to watch out for that because the market's going back up to that high. So we took it in here on Apple, looking for that hold above 210, but it doesn't look like it wants to hold it. If it takes out the 3/4, I'll jump away. Wait for something a little bit deeper. Some concern. We already talked about 10 minutes. You're going to have the CCL call. I would go over to Affirm, but I feel like we have enough on at this particular moment. NVIDIA's trying to break. Yeah, this might
broke
take.
on me there.
Like when AMD catches a bid
really
after
like
it fails a
Apple.
break of the low of the day, I'm tentative about reloading this one at VWAP. So if it gets into VWAP, I'd need to see some kind of a failure. We did get some at that low, but the market is still marching to the upside. Meta looks like it's a stronger one. Apple's doing its best on the dip. Probably could have got a price closer to 210 even, ended up with the quarters. But if it can't hold this local bottom, it's not relatively strong if it's under VWAP as the market's breaking higher. It was strong early, looking like it's going to be weak now. If you hear something, the fire alarm.
It's fire alarm
It's
time.
fire alarm test day. We're hearing over the speakers. And oh yeah, we'll
Best days.
So I wanted to make sure we're on Apple so you can see that it took out that bottom before I moved over.
There goes NVIDIA.
Went back into ARM at the high of the day on this failure at the top. So we liked the short. It did not work at 150, got one out, but the rest stopped out. And now we're into the short off the high of the day. But I got to respect VWAP on an upward trending stock. I don't want to give up on the notion of a long in Apple. I just think we have to be a little bit more patient with our level for AAPL. I think it has a chance to maybe get lower and give us another bid. So I'm going to bid on ARM. I'm going to wait for Apple to put a higher low.
All right, we have a shit ton of shares on Apple right now. So here we go. Let's go, Apple. 209.70. We make back what we lose on NVIDIA right here. But we still did lose on NVIDIA despite NVIDIA coming back down. So right now we are long at 209.70 on Apple. We just took a bunch out there when it went into the 90s. So, okay, now let's wait to see. I still, listening to Neil there, I do agree that 210. Would love to see that break to the upside, obviously, right now. But we did take some out there. It's too bad about NVIDIA. Look, NVIDIA did fall out, but we were able to take some money. We just gave it back, and we're wound up red right now on NVDA as that goes to the upside. So now we just wait. I mean, I'm not going to throw everything away when I look over here, and we didn't really talk about this too much until 125. So, hey, if it can get to 125, then how exactly much are we going to be up right now on Apple? So let's go, Apple. We've got, okay, there it is, man. Apple not going into the gates of hell. We hit the wrong one. Apple, nice trade. Back up to the upside there into the, it just printed 99s there on Apple. So far, so good. Man, oh man, did we let NVIDIA go maybe a little bit too early, but it did take that 122. So let's wait to see what happens. Go Apple, you can do it, man. This name getting back above 210 would really put a smile on this guy's face. Rivian right now, nice upside. We should probably get something out. Palantir's up right now as well. It looks like we'll do pretty well today on everything. Too bad that we gave up on that NVIDIA because now it would be really cruising back into the 60s, man, for that one. But Apple is the one right now for me. So far, so good here today. But, you know, it's only 9:53. So we'll wait to see what happens. We have KO coming, Kevin O'Leary coming around 11 o'clock.
We're going to stick around a little bit longer when he'll be on the desk for the morning show. Look, CCL 5 minutes to the call. No change for me. If the call goes the other direction, I'm out underneath that 1740. I might look for a dip buy at those same levels, like 16.5, if it even presents itself, but that's a big if. You never know what's going to happen. I feel a little bit better about AMD. Right now, it's slowing down pretty much where you'd want it to, which is at VWAP. So we got 38s. I'm looking for a fill at that 40 range once again, and then we'll short AMD to the low of the day. Was able to get a fill at that 52 level on ARM. And what's the other one I wanted to get to? We talked about Tesla. Tesla, unfortunately, 182 has come and gone. VWAP has come and gone. So the dip buy opportunity at that 82 level is pretty much kaput, as Tesla's now up 1%. If we take out the top, I think it looks like a pretty good day for Tesla. Just got to be patient with it. I like the 82 level, and given the bounce, I don't want to be looking short on Tesla unless it's in the high 80s. But there's no chance that I'm chasing this move after we've missed it. Just got to wait for it to pull back and give some kind of an entry that is reasonable. DJT still yet to do anything. So if you're waiting around for a Donald J. Trump stock, it's doing absolutely nothing. FFIE looking pretty strong, though. So I like that dip buy. It's an SSR name. We'll play off of VWAP for Faraday Futures. I'm replacing DJT ideas with FFIE, which is at least doing something.
All right, there we go. Apple. It's really too bad that we got, because it would be wild for me to be long a lot of shares on Apple and short on NVIDIA, but that's working out. It's just we got stopped out on NVIDIA. As NVIDIA goes lower, Apple goes higher. So there's that stop out on NVIDIA, and I'm not embarrassed about it because we got out there and it's fine. It sucks that it was about 15 cents from the high, but look at this push down for NVIDIA. So I'm feeling pretty good for some of you anyways. I hope you're still in that. We were never talking about going long on this name at all. So we did not do it. So there's a nice push back in, and that would just be absolutely wild for me to have both of these. But for right now, we just have one, and it is a banger right there. This easily goes to P&L number one is Apple today off this. I mean, we loaded this up. Right down there on Apple. So we're pretty proud of that one and happy with it. We'll see what happens with Rivian, though. That NVIDIA is going to haunt me for a little bit. But you know what? There's always more trades. And like I said, NVIDIA has been very, very good to me so far this
like Sammy Sosa said.
For a while. Yeah, very, very good. Right? Wasn't that Alomar said that, didn't he? Or what did Sosa say?
Baseball's been very good to me. Was that Alomar?
I think that was Alomar. Baseball has been very, very good to me.
That's you might be right about that.
That's the Robbie Alomar.
For some reason, I thought it was
too bad about that guy. I think he was the most talented Blue Jay of all time. So that's what I think.
The only issue with that is
unless you want to say Roger Clemens.
Ricky Henderson played for
us. Or Roy Halladay.
Ricky Henderson played a year for us. That's the only thing.
Is he more talented than...
Yeah, I think so.
Is he?
Yeah, Ricky was ridiculous. Ricky was ridiculous, man.
Oh, I know he was great, but I mean, I don't know. I still stay out.
He played 1 year. That doesn't count. But what does count is AMD. I don't know if a third time is going to be a charm. It's a higher low. It failed the low break. We did reload it at 157.40. It got down to 157 again, and now you're consolidating higher up. Still no fills in FFIE, so Faraday does not seem to care that I want to get long in front of VWAP. And CCL came out, just for everybody. I mentioned going into the call, either it holds on to this level at 1740 for the call, and then you hold it in the money, or we just get out and wait for the next move. So the call is going to start in 2 minutes. Sometimes I'd be buying a dip at VWAP, but not in this situation. I'm not going to buy the dip when the call starts. It could flush 50 cents or $1, and then I might look for the dip buy after something like that on CCL here. Still very much on the radar for me. But AMD, no reload this third time through. If it fails the VWAP break, like gets above 157.5 and comes back under, I might take a short that way. We're still in a piece, and we do like that short trade. George Bell is not even close there, L87P. I love George Bell, but he was kind of overrated. No D, no base running, couldn't take a walk.
The only J to win MVP, I think, right? Okay, so... Did he? I don't think Clemens
won an MVP.
Did he win MVP? He might have won Cy Young. Yeah, Josh Donaldson. Okay, so there it is right there on Palantir, man. Let's go. That's a face slapper for PLTR, baby. I mean, what else can we do? We mentioned on here on the sticky note. Let's dip. I mean, I just hope that you guys are looking at the sticky note, because there it is right there. Dip buys into 24. It never broke 24.50. So here's the dip buy for Palantir, right? There's the dip buy into 24. There's the 24.05. There's the 23.95 with the stop. And I told you where the stop was, breaking through 90. So well worth the risk to the upside right there. And man, oh man, what has been a good trade continues to be that with Apple. So Apple's still high side now. We just got some out at 20s or something, in the 20s, I think it was. Sorry, just right here again, 16s. So we just took back-to-back 15s there, sorry, on that trade. So right now, today, we will have a blemish. It will be NVIDIA, but Rivian right now, again, couple good outs on Rivian, you know, nothing lower than where we're at. We did get scared there on this move back, but we still want to buy 11, so not that scared at all. And then, of course, we've already taken advantage of CCL. That was a great trade for us early. It went to 50. That was our target, and then we got out and then let the rest happen. So it's fading back into the 50-period moving average, so that could be something as well. But with only 20 seconds left, let's go back over to the desk for the Richmond Fed Manufacturing and Adara.
We also have the CB consumer confidence number. So this one also coming in at 10 a.m. here. Previous 102 consensus, 100 forecast 99. We're getting the Richmond Manufacturing Index, previous of 0 consensus 2 forecast 3. Manufacturing as well. We've just got these numbers here. So manufacturing negative 10, much lower than consensus and forecast here. A manufacturing shipments index negative 9 versus the consensus of 13. So that's also going to be lower than expected. Last but not least, Richmond Fed Services Index also lower than expected here, negative 11 versus the consensus of 2. Still waiting on that CB consumer confidence number here, but we have those Richmond prints. CB consumer confidence just coming in here, slightly higher than expected, 100.4 versus the consensus of 100, forecast of 99. So S&P 500 getting a little bit of a move up here on this number right at 10 o'clock. We also have the NASDAQ slightly higher than the S&P 500, so we see a lot of these AI names and chip names making some recoveries from weakness in the previous days. Also worth noting, CCL, Carnival, having their conference starting at 10 a.m. We'll definitely let you guys know if we hear anything from that. Other names to keep an eye on here are DJT, falling off a little bit, still up about 3% after trading higher by 21% yesterday, announcing this $69.4 million in initial proceeds from exercising some warrants. We also have Solar Edge here down about 17%, getting some price target decreases after announcing a $300 million convertible notes offering due 2029, and also announcing an updated Q2 guidance. So quite a few names to keep an eye on here, guys.
So the initial move after the call, which is starting right now, is actually a bit of a bounce, but no huge volume spikes just yet on CCL. We'll let that one play it out. If I see something extreme, I was kind of hoping for a dip opportunity, but you know it's kind of going up right now off the 17 level. ARM, you cannot stay wrong. It's okay to be wrong. We wanted that 150 break for a couple of weeks. It goes a little bit and then reverse hard. We did reshort it at 53 and got 52, 51.70, but when it takes out the high of the day, we're jumping out 100%. There's still a chance that it holds that high and comes back underneath, but that's not a trade that I like for ARM. I like ARM when it's trending into the downside, when its breaking levels are underneath a resistance level, not when we're pretty much holding above. AMD's still holding out pretty well, and Tesla is absolutely flying right now, taking out these highs. High of the day, very similar chart to ARM. It's got some overhead resistance at 186. I still think I'd like to wait for a dip buy opportunity in that stock. And going back to FFIE, yeah, it's trying to dip back into 24. Mogul, by the way, is also making some power moves. We talked about these small cap names. No, it's not Mogul. It's not ML. It's not MGLO. It's MLGO. Yeah, I keep getting those two mixed up. I hate the fact that there's an actual other stock. It's MLGO. Halted to the upside, opened higher. If you like the long here, try to remember that it failed 15. Both today and yesterday, late in the day. I think it needs to take out 16, or you're looking for dip buys on MLGO. That 15 was a big level on the daily. Still has no chance yet of breaking that level at 15s. Big sellers at 15 on MLGO.
Man,
MLGO.
Yeah, MLGO. Yeah. Yeah, Apple is going absolutely ham right now. So, I mean, I don't know where it's going to wind up, but like it just broke 210 and I was like, oh, but get some out. And then it ripped up to 210.20 again. So, yeah, let's just keep on getting some out. But the one thing that I've done again here And there goes Apple. Come on, Apple. Let's go to the downside now. Okay, we'll get some out now. We went back into NVIDIA because it seems like maybe I didn't. Okay, well, Apple's really cruising now. Okay, let's go. We're getting revenge right now on NVIDIA. We're only short right here at 122.15s, but hopefully we'll dip in and we'll put some out here into the 80s and see if it gets to the downside. We're taking some out because this is the only red name on my board here today with NVIDIA, and I like the stock. But look at Palantir. Oh yeah, let's go on that one. OMG, as that one continues to go. Let's see if we can actually hold on to some Palantir today. Well done there to the upside for PLTR. Let's hope it's a continuation move on Apple. And you guys know when we were just talking about this before that we like the stock right here. So let's take it on Apple and see where we go now as NVIDIA. Come on, baby. Stay low. What's up, eh?
Eli Lilly getting a bit of a move here, up about 8.7% here, announcing a collaboration with OpenAI. They're going to use OpenAI's generative AI to help discover novel medicines for treating drug-resistant bacteria. So OpenAI collaboration for LLY just announced here, guys.
Right, we're into Disney, by the way.
Good look for. I love Eli Lilly. How much that matters. We know that a lot of these bio names are going into AI and utilizing. So those partnerships are inevitable. Who else are you going to partner with? But Rivian takes another high of the day breakout. Keystroked in and out flat.
We love
so
that.
Thank goodness. If you get in, if you don't want the position. I was actually setting up I was actually setting up a sell order for the buy, and then got out flat. The high of the day break just happened again. That 1130 is still the level that I like. So if it's holding above there, then we still want to be in that long. AMD gave up VWAP. So we were holding on a piece for the continuation, but it just broke out. So remember I said I'm going to not take it the third time, but if it's a fail, like a failed break, I'll try to grab it on the way back in. Well, this looks like the way back in. Willing to get the stop out and willing to jump back in at that same price if we can get it, as AMD with a bit of a psych mode. It has been the short that worked, so I don't want to give up on it, but wasn't willing to let everything else break out those highs and then just be stubborn about it. So we're back in underneath VWAP on Rivian, on AMD for the third time. Now short under VWAP AMD.
All right, Apple, dollar. I mean, we had talked about that. We like that stock. There it is. It's $1. It's huge. Rivian. I mean, so far today on the sticky note, we have Palantir long $24, and Rivian long back to 11. Disney back to 102. And by the way, Disney, look what we did on Disney right here. We're long at 102.05. Exactly as we wrote down here. That's 20 cents in the money right there as well for that. Look, I don't know what's going to happen with NVIDIA. We just took out half of our position, and we're just very lucky. We talked about bidding some 90s and some 80s. I'm going to try to hold the rest and see if we do get a push down. I'm going to cancel that. I actually have a bid in the 60s now, so if it goes up, it takes out this 50 area, then we're just going to get out of NVIDIA. I just want to be being a little bit stubborn here because we like the 122 area, and it's just, I feel like it's just its area stop, and we stopped out on that break of 122.30. So, you know, we're in the 30-cent winner now. Let's see if we can get a little bit lower into the 60s to make this a 2-to-1 banger. It's really Palantir that's right back up to the highs that has been, for me, the better trade. So we'll wait to see what happens here with Palantir, obviously, versus NVIDIA, but there's another out for us on Palantir. I mean, look at these dip buys. No matter the kind of style of trader you are, right? I mean, these are dip buys. We also did support and resistance trades as far as NVIDIA is concerned and Apple's concerned, but I mean, good dip buy opportunity there, and then a great dip buy opportunity in Rivian. So yeah, so far so good, and this is that note that we're talking about. There's the Rivian. Get the long back in at 11, started at 11. If you got 1075s, even better. But we get 11s, and we're long right now, 11.13. So far so good. And there's the dip buy for Disney down to 102. So, all right, let's see what happens with Rivian and, not Rivian, sorry, NVIDIA, as that's the only one in question now. Apple, we've sort of cleaned that up, and yeah, we'll wait to see what happens with the rest of these trades as both you and I.
I think CCL's.
Oh, you're really in electric car mode here.
Well, not really. I mean, Faraday, is a penny stock that's trying to bounce because it's down over 10%. Like, you know, it's probably not going to necessarily move with the market. Like Tesla could go to the moon, and Rivian could go to the moon, and future Faraday is going to do, or Faraday future is going to do whatever the heck it wants. It's a very different style trade, I think, just looking to buy VWAP on something trending up. But CCL, since the call started, all it's done is sink in that 117 level where we had the original stop at 1690 is held. So at least for now, there is a temporary bottom. I was looking for a dip buy opportunity. If it can hold a higher low, just want to give it a little bit more time during the call to hold on. And as I said with FFIE, like this is not, like this, I'm not trying to like break the mold thinking the stock is going to be a good one, but you know, it's down over 10% as you guys can tell, and it's putting in higher lows. So we'll bounce off VWAP, the high is 26. I'll get some out in front of 26. If it tries to go green, I want no part of it if it goes green. I'd be well out of the stock. You know, I don't think it's going to go that far. The high of the day is a good enough target for myself here. So just going to get some orders out in front of 24, 25, and at 26, let's call it, on Faraday Futures. Rivian, we are back in because it attempted another breakout, and I wanted to go over to Tesla to show you guys the massive strength that is still in Tesla. So all of a sudden, forget about buys into VWAP. You're now holding above the breakout price on Tesla. So Tesla's really gotten away from us. If I'm slapping the fail myself because 182, I made the choice of Rivian over Tesla. 182 dip buy, went into Rivian on the breakout play, and Tesla was the better one. So over this resistance, if it can hold here, I think it's a continuation play. But that's not the long that we wanted this morning. It's the long that we are forced to take because it's a rocket ship.
Yeah, we forced ourselves into Palantir, willed ourselves into it, and we just take another out here as it goes back up to the upside. Disney as well, but NVIDIA breaks again 122.58, so 122.50s. So we wound up getting out of that one, but again, we were just sort of short up here anyways, so it was okay for us. A little bit more patience on that one as the NASDAQ tries, I guess, to go back up to 20,000. It's all good. We're green today. It's been a good day. Only one red name, NVIDIA, as it pulls back, of course, but it's a pretty violent one there. Let's go over and see what Adair's up to.
Some updates here from the Carnival conference call if you're involved in CCL here. Getting a little bit of a boost up. We have executives saying that the adjusted EBITDA was the highest in over 15 years and surpassed its Q2 of 2019. So quite a few records here for its adjusted EBITDA. Also saying that they're seeing consistent growth in repeat guests and new guests. So some growth updates and strong EBITDA coming out of this CCL conference call. Let you guys know if I see anything else here.
That all looks pretty bullish to me. Like I don't see anything. I haven't heard anything that seems bad for CCL at this particular point, so it's given some back. Looks like we're back into an upward trend on the stock. So we'll try to get some 17s on the way back in here. Just watch out for where the futures are. 19.9, 20,000 is going to be a bit of a thing. So if I haven't gotten into a long on Tesla and we're challenging that $20,000 level, I don't necessarily want to be chasing it. But CCL, I think, is back in the good graces for now. I think it can always be temporary. Tesla, as mentioned, trying to pick it up. Might have to get a little bit more aggressive with the dip in Tesla, but I'm looking for something at afternoon or lunchtime resistance yesterday. That's where I'd like the consolidation buy on Tesla. Up 2% when the market's only up 0.7, clearly a relatively strong stock, but I'm not looking for a take of the high of the day here on TSLA. Could be in it, but we're not, so we have to wait for the next available pullback on Tesla.
Okay, so yeah, we're still cruising with Apple. It's still here. It's not doing a whole heck of a lot at these levels here, trying to hang out above 110. So that, or 210, sorry, that would be a level there for Apple, but we're still waiting. Let's just check out on some of the crypto names as Coinbase 61.3. So we could definitely check out that name. And we talked about a 220 level. Nice move up. I mean, great move up $5 almost straight there with a little bit of an exhaustion candle, I guess, 218 and change. I mean, decent volume, basically the biggest red candle there since the open just got put in and around 218 and change. But without actually sitting here and staring at what crypto was doing, I do feel like that's a tough one. Oh, man. All right, Disney right now is pretty good for me. We did take a decent amount of shares there on Disney. So again, 30 cents. So we'll take that, put that in our pocket and see what winds up happening here for Disney as we take a little bit out there at 30. Apple is pulling back now, back into where we got long the first time, which is kind of strange. I mean, I don't know, the market's at highs and Apple right here just got faded. So we had seen this happen before to Apple and we loaded up. Let's try it again. We're not gonna necessarily load up here because this move is uncharacteristic. There we go, we get some 77s there, I guess. And let's just wait to see what now happens here as Apple. I had my stop still in from before at 209.50, so it's coming in right now for Apple. So it'll be my number one stock. It doesn't even matter unless I absolutely load up down here, which I don't think we'll do. But here it comes back in for Apple. Just gonna get a 209.50 break. We just bought a little bit more on this dip right there. So that's what we're working with right now. I saw banks were pretty strong yesterday. We could definitely have a look over there. FFIE there, Rivian. Good out for Rivian. We have less than 10% left. So right now I'm basically getting out of everything. We have less than 10% left of Palantir, less than 10% of Rivian, and 30% still of Disney. So the Disney trade is going to be good. Hopefully that will come up. If we can get something around 102.50, that would be a good one. And again, like just another name on here. The only red name is NVIDIA. And it's not even like NVIDIA should be red for me. It's just, it keeps on like hitting our outs and then pulling. So it's just, I don't have the right spots on it.
Speaking of which, AMD just got to the next level up. So that continues to go. We got away from VWAP. I think you have to in that particular situation. And then the next level is going to be yesterday's bottom. So like support into resistance, that's 158.5. So looking for a curl off that level. I got 22s. If it breaks that half, we got to jump away from this. It's way too strong. If you're going to break both VWAP, make that low, and then take out yesterday's bottoms, you could easily retrace into 160. But we're in it. We waited for the next levels. That's what we're going to do. Tesla. Yeah, you know, Tesla's just gone at this point. So Tesla breaks 187 now. Okay, Tesla's at 187 now. It's about to break. It'll do it in a couple of seconds here and just continues to fly higher and higher. So we're not dipping. We're not going to get a dip buy at 185. I think that's come and gone. So we're just in it. We're just in FFIE and AMD. CCL's continuing to hold trend to the upside, and I'm still bidding out in front of the 17 level. But that MLGO opened back up. You had a hot minute that you could have got the $16 break. If you got a fill there, congratulations to you. It literally opened right at that price and then just ran. So it's at $18. I'm not touching this thing up here. I think you needed it as it was taking out that high from yesterday. So MLGO off to the races. The reload for me was on AMD. If VWAP was a place to go short, if it pops down to VWAP, that's a place to cover and take profit on. Sorry, if VWAP was a place to go short before, shorting back into VWAP is the way that I want to play it here on a relatively strong name, down 1%, but it has made another higher low.
Okay, all right, yeah, so coming back in, talking about making lows right now, it looks like Apple will go back into the low right now, and I don't want to hold this. So if the market fades out, the market fades out. I'm already a little disappointed that we had dropped our NVIDIA so early, but we did it. And there it is. There goes Apple breaking lower. So we're still holding on to a small piece here, but it is trying to get back in. So we cannot hold. We do not want to hold a big piece and turn a good trade into a bad trade. We'll still be up. It'll still be my number one. Actually, Palantir will now be my number one stock because this never came back. We don't have very many shares on that one either. So there goes NVIDIA. Finally starting to break lower there on this move back in. So missed opportunity for sure. Maybe we can go over and have a quick look at AMD to see if there's anything happening with this name, maybe a little bit better than NVIDIA. But NVIDIA just pulling back in. I think a 121.50 break might be the better trade as AMD still hanging out upside. So this could be a good fade as well. But again, little different. AMD's already down. NVIDIA was up 2 and a bit percentage points. So feel like you could fade NVIDIA a little bit more to get it back to Greensville as look at NVIDIA go down. See, like this is what I mean. Like, oh, it sucks to be red on a name when we just got stopped out by like 20 or 30 cents when we were trying to hold for a bigger move, but that's what happens in trading. A nice pullback here for NVIDIA. If you like the long, there's nothing wrong with trying it right now. 121.50 right off VWAP. I mean, a decent pullback. The market's still up. This is not a horrible spot for NVIDIA longs. I'm going to try.
Is it breaking?
Well, I don't break.
Oh, sorry. No. Never mind. It's VWAP up pullback. So still not breaking that high. I did just take some out of AMD. I wanted to get to Amazon for a quick second there. So AMD pulls back into 158. We get some out. Still upward trending, so I think you want to take profit. You can go against the grain, but if you short something which is moving up and you don't take profit when it starts to bounce, then you don't make money because you're going against the trend. You can hold something with the trend as long as you want and just trail out, you'll be fine. I think the other way, you have to respect it. It was Amazon we got to get to. I'll rate down all the key levels, and you try to play a little bit of patience. If it trades at a key level, you want it to get there. Amazon, I feel it failed a breakout of the all-time high or a test of the all-time high at 191, a failed breakout yesterday. Looking at 188, this is the pocket in the afternoon where it had resistance. That's the only spot that I want to be short this name. So it's within 50 cents of said level. All right, AMD starting to go back downside pretty heavily. Still nothing doing on CCL. Yeah, I mean, nothing doing on CCL. It's trying to consolidate above VWAP. I think if you were willing to just sort of take it bouncing when they started the call, you'd be laughing at this moment. I was wanting to see some support, see what they're saying in the call first. That was a mistake. You could have just bought the dip at 17 and been just fine. If it holds VWAP, looking for a bounce off VWAP, jump back in, give it to 17.20.
At 19.
Played into the high of the day. So we're going to go back to the well on CCL. That was not intended to be a rhyme.
The well?
Well, CCL.
Oh, well and
L was
CCL.
high- that was
Yeah,
very-
anytime you
very
rhyme an L with a well, yeah. I guess that's good. All's well that ends well on that story. All right, so
It's such a weird
it
thing.
looks like it's going to, it looks like it's going to break 121. That'll be our stopping zone here. I just thought it was worth a dip buy opportunity, but if it doesn't want to go back up, then this is well worth 20 cents of risk. I mean, we can get out for flat right now. It's starting to stack it up. Well, now we're not getting out for flat. Now we're getting out for winners right now. So there it is. We'll take some 29s. Okay. Twist my arm, NVIDIA. I mean, if this goes back upside right now, then we'll be laughing on this stock. So let's wait to see if there is an opportunity now for NVIDIA to get going here off that level. Come on, NVIDIA. Let's go. We're almost positive on NVIDIA right now, by the way, and we just talked about it being a disaster for us today. Not a disaster. We were down on it, but now we go back up to the upside for NVDA, buying it off that 121. Let's see now if it wants to get back upside. Hey, I thought you were strong, NVIDIA. What's the matter with you? Here it comes back up. Here we go, NVIDIA. All right, all you have to do is shake your hand at this thing. All right, 121.50 for NVDA. Oh, wow. Let's see if it can get up there. I don't know. We just took some out. So nice trade so far for that one. Decent hold for Apple. We did hold a third of it as it's trying to make a move back up. I don't trust this one nearly as much as NVIDIA, nor I'm sure if we want to be actually long right now. But NVIDIA's, smooth sailing so far. Let's see if it holds 121.
What?
MLGO, I know you have it up, halted again.
20.
I'll have to go over there and have a look.
$20?
$20. Here it is. I'll call it up before we go over to Adair. Oh, you have it. Go to Neil's screen. He has it up.
Sheesh. So obviously, yeah, I mean, if you chased it, you'd be laughing. That 16 break.
Wow.
We're going to go,
There
you
goes
know what?
NVIDIA,
We're
by
going to
the
go
way.
to Adara for the small cap recap. The tap is exactly flat again. So 1991 halt, 1991 is the current tap. Or 90 halt, 91 is the current tap. If NVIDIA is going up, I like the fact that AMD is pulling back in. We want to respect that. But MLGO,
Yep.
insane.
Yep.
That's one of the small caps going. Let's see about some others. Well, I guess that would.
No shortage of small caps running right now, that's for sure. First, though, we're going to take a look at the IWM, which is holding support really nicely here at that 200 area after a drop pretty early on. So good look here for the Russell 2000, slightly down in the day, trying to curl back up here. Quite a few names running: MLGO, LRCH, and some other names like NNE. This one dropping a little bit here. Nano Nuclear Energy initially ran yesterday, announced that it acquired some IP related to nuclear transfer. So nice look there, getting a price target increase from 15 to 39 from benchmark. So great look for NNE. Next up, we have Enovix, ENVX. This one has a little bit larger market cap here, about $2 billion, but short float of about 25.8%, citing a deal for silicon. Supplying silicon batteries for mixed reality headsets, up about almost 30% here. And last but not least, we have Vulcan. No news on this one, VLCN, but it's up over 150%. Worth noting as well for VLCN, halted a couple times here, and it does have a float of about 250,000 shares, market cap of under $1 million. So very small float in market cap for VLCN. So many runners today, guys.
So many runners. We're lucky to hold this Apple back. I mean, you know, we were long here, 75s. We got long again, 62s. It broke 50s. We got some out at 50. We held the third and all the way back up to 210.05. So good trade right there. And man, oh man, it's like this NVIDIA is like, make some money back. It comes back in, make some money back again, get some more out. This is going to be a short, and it's just bad. It's too bad because we had nailed that short early, and now it falls back in. So let's let the market settle down. It's 10:20. I mean, there's still lots of time. We'll let this continue to go upside there. Palantir continues to go. So despite the market really doing nothing, Palantir at highs and still going. So we actually like a 24.50 break, but we're already long. So we might as well hold on and see if it continues to work right there as Apple back above 210 again.
And CCL just lost VWAPs. We'll give some of it back. It could still hold the $17 level.
Oh, man,
but
NVIDIA.
for now,
Jeez.
like you're basically that 1740 where we had the original trail out, that's turned into resistance. And when that happens, you know, if it was an out before and it's an out again and that's a lower high, then you got to be patient. Don't want this to reverse. There's pre-call and there's post-call. And since we've started that range, you've run into a resistance level on CCL. I am in Amazon. We talked about waiting for it to get to 188. It got to 187.87. So it got pretty much to that top. I'm short to the even dollar. If it takes out the even dollar, there's still overhead like 188.5, but that would be separate trades at your MLGO or MGLO. MLGO. Still in the halt. It's going to open back up in about a minute. I'm going to go pay for some locates. If something absolutely silly happens underneath this halt price, it is the $20 level. I only care about ridiculous levels every $5 when a stock gets up here. So if there is a chance that it immediately fails that and there's a tight stop short, I'll go to take it. But I didn't pay for locates on this. I paid for them on DJT.
Oh, DJT. Yeah. Okay. All right, we're trying to flip up the game here to the short NVIDIA right now. But all right, we're short at 40s right here. We've just been covering some in the mid. See, like there it goes. So now it's okay, let's take some profit, man. It's 20 cents in the money. We got to start taking something out. We've been taking it out, but we've been like very sort of waiting for it to happen and waiting for bigger moves when realistically it's just the scalps that have been working. Like, look, this could bounce again. Like we just got some out in the teens and now look, rips right back up again. So yeah, I think changing up the mood here a little bit for me on NVIDIA and just trying to scalp this volume has paid off, especially since we've been dancing with it here at 121. We made some money short and long right now, but it's just a lot of volume. It's only 116 million. I only say that because it's been like 400 or 500 the last couple days. So I feel like I'm not at this time of day. I feel like it's a little bit light to where it's been, but let's wait to see what happens here with NVIDIA trying to drift above that 60 level, and then we'll get out of it. So look, right back to flat again. We've already took some profit on half. So that's the story. This trade could be a flat trade again for me if we take out 60, but we're already out of half. We're playing with house money. Let's see if the short prints. Same thing here for Apple. Feeling pretty good about it. It's going to be my PL number one on the day. That's Apple. We did get out of a little bit of it there. Tried to hold on, and we did. We did not average back in. So just taking like a 10 or 15 cent hit on 2/3 of it, then making 30 or 50 cents on the third puts that into a win. And there goes NVIDIA. So I look over at my net, it's just like dancing. We're still red on it, but it's like I'm making, losing, and paying fees at the end of the day there, trying to catch this name as there it goes right back up again into 121.60. So out some in the teens there, out the rest in the 60s, NVIDIA just flying around. Palantir 60 cents, and boy, oh boy, has Rivian been a great stock today. Rivian up to 11.50.
Rivian's an absolute monster. 12 is the level for Rivian on resistance. So, oh my goodness, wow. Okay, well, you're not getting back underneath at 19. So there's the failed breakout of that $20 level. But you guys, I think it was on my chart when it came to me, so you would have seen that reversal. That was pretty darn fast on that one. I don't know if we'll get a fill on the halts to the downside. We're not. So it was looking for a breakdown underneath 1990, was locked and loaded to go. Pretty much no chance. You didn't even get the fill there on the halts. We'll just go ahead and cancel that order. Was looking for a fail at that price, but that was even faster than I would have anticipated. Sometimes you can catch that on the way back in. Trying to get AMD at the same level at 158.5. It just did another curl. Amazon getting into that 188 as well. So those are the two positions we're in. if you're an algo, I guarantee you're going to get that fill on MLGO. It was pretty cheap for the locate, so you missed a trade. It is what it is. I wasn't going to chase it too far down. But it's a volatility halt. It'll be open in 5 minutes. AMD, if it gets to VWAP again, I think we got to take more out on advanced micro devices. It's still trend to the upside. And every time I look over at Tesla, so far it's been, well, you're not getting into it, Neil. I look into it this time, and we get back into yesterday's afternoon support levels. So I guess we're going to finally get a dip buy into Tesla. As I said, every time I talk about Tesla today, I'm going to mention that it was a fail not to buy the 182. Right? You can put a line in the chart. You can have it as a level that you like. You can talk about it. But if you don't throw the bid in there, last I checked, you can't go long without bidding a stock.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to check your notes for that one. I guess you could get, yeah.
There's like ways to do it with like options. You can get like a sign a position, but you know what I mean when I say that. For us, you have to hit the bid.
All right. So we just got some more out of Palantir, so let's props it up for that one. I know there's a lot of Palantir traders in the building, so shout out to anybody looking at that stock, as we did go long that name at that bottom. We were sort of pumping the tires of this stock this whole time. And we just really liked it. We saw the strength in it yesterday and then continued today off of that play. So, a good little bottom take there today at $24. We wrote it down. We really liked that level. If you're looking at yesterday's charts, some dip buys into 24. It happened a couple times there. So we take advantage of that on PLTR. We just, again, scalping out some profits here on NVIDIA again against 122. Like, we're short at 121.85. And it's going to, way over trading it. But these outs here, we just got an out there at 57. So it's like we are getting outs for profitable levels. And even here as well, that's our last one in and out stopped. But there's one 121.68 off of an 85. So maybe they're not moving around too great, but we are taking some outs to the downside before watching this name go. There's so much potential with NVIDIA that it's it's driving me insane here. As there it goes back. See, there it goes back up again. All right. We could probably just leave it alone and stick with Apple as crypto right now at 1030. Let's go find out about that. 62,000 right now for crypto.
Certainly lots to talk about Bitcoin. We also have the Dallas Fed Services and Dallas Fed Services revenue indices coming in here. Just going to wait and see if those are coming in. We're expecting negative 10 for the Dallas Fed Services Index, coming in a little bit higher than expected here, negative 4.1. So this is above the previous number, negative 12.1, and the negative 10 that we were expecting. So getting Dallas Fed Services Revenue Index, this one a little bit lower than the estimate in the previous number, 1.9 versus 8 consensus and 6.7 previous. So that's the Dallas Fed Services and Dallas Fed Services Revenue Indices. In terms of Bitcoin, quite a few miners making some moves today. Hut 8 HUT to the upside. We also have BTBT. This was with a miner and a supplier of digital assets. We have Bit Digital here announcing some finalized terms for contract expansion. So nice move up here for BTBT, up about 26%. Lots of these small cap miners making some big moves today. In terms of Bitcoin itself, also making a nice move. Just cracked above that 62,000. Looks like we're at high of day here on this chart. So great look, recovering after slipping nicely below 60,000 yesterday. So after 2 straight days to the downside and a pretty big day down yesterday, we're trying to recover from that today. A lot of recovery across the board here in all of these cryptocurrencies. Ethereum just cracking above this 3,400 level, up about 2 2/3%. BNB up 2%. Solana up almost 8%. Cardano up 5%. Dogecoin up 6%. Great day for cryptocurrencies, guys.
Yeah, good. You're only at 62,000, but it's not, I guess it doesn't really take much to call it a good day. It's a recovery day for the crypto names. I'm not in any, it's still Tesla. AMD came out. It's how much do you want to fight it? We've waited till the key levels to short it, but it's still higher lows every single time. And this time it doesn't even give us a dip. Every other time that I've been short this stock, it's gone at least 50 to $1. This time, we get back in, it goes maybe 10 to 15 cents, and then a break of the high of the day. So you got to be able to step away from it when you can. MLGO just reopened, and that would have been, you didn't get a fill, but if you got that whole price, it's a pretty clean fail break. I think the next trade would be looking for $15 to hold. That was a key level on the daily, so if it holds 15, I think you can still be looking for longs, but it's got to be back at that price. So there's the daily chart. That's $15 from before. So if it pulls back into 15, I think that's a significant level on MLGO. That stock is absolutely insane. Just continues to run more and more and more. Mara, as Adair was mentioning, it does the over-under at 19, heading and tracking for that $20 level. When you look left, these ones want to go right. I guess all charts go right, but this time to the upside. So Tesla to the long. AMD, I don't know if I want to reload it. I think I'll look for something like, I want lower highs on AMD before I think about going into the short. It's at the right level. But one of the things that we talk about, and good look. Everyone check out the Freedom and Wealth podcast, and I'm going to work this actually right in because it was something you guys mentioned about avoiding distraction, right? And that's in life, but in trading, I think a lot of times you have an idea of a stock that you want to trade. I can get distracted by the fact that I just want to be back into AMD and just start, instead of looking for the right setup, just look for setups on advanced micro devices. That's not the way to go about it. Tesla was trending, so we wanted to get over to that one above a support level. It's at that price. That's where the focus has to be. AMD's not doing what I want right now. So I can have it up on a chart, but I don't want to be sitting there staring too much at it until it actually starts to set up for me. AMD, we'll still be green on it, but only barely because we gave some back. And last time we didn't get any profit on that third short. So MLGO, okay, it's not exactly flushing just yet, but give it some time. If it's not breaking 20, I think it's pulling back to 15.
Yeah, MLGO, violent name, but I mean a great one for the longs. I mean, people have been really riding that one for a minute for sure. Okay, like and to that point, trying to trade a few less names. We talked about our positioning and what we have on and things like that. So Apple just came back up to VWAP, so you got to stay disciplined and stay into your rules. So we just take another piece out there for Apple. Apple is going to be my numero uno stock right there as we go. So tongue twisted up there. All right, so we'll get some more bids here on NVIDIA as we take the short back in for this name. This time we actually did a little bit better and waited for that 122 to come in for that. So now we'll wait to see if we can get some more lower bids on NVIDIA as now we have 10s short. Again, like, look, taking it out, but will it blast up against us again? This is the scalper's nightmare because it keeps on running your levels, and then you don't, that last little piece that you always hold on for, at least I do, and it's not even little because I'm trying to hold on to more, keeps running me out of town. So hopefully NVIDIA can keep coming to the downside, and we'll be able to get out of more and more of these shares without too much worry as here it comes. Okay, we'll take that 76 all day, every day right now. So, all right, nice little dip buy opportunities here for NVIDIA if you're looking to go long. We just have a decent pullback in now for NVDA. So here we go, back into 121.70s, 60s. Come on, give me it. We're at 68 right now. It's 50 cents in the money right now for NVIDIA, but it is holding out a little bit. Let's punch some more 72s and then get a little bit lower here for NVDA. So there he goes. Yes, give me those 68s. Oh, did we get them? I do not know. No, we did not. All right, we'll wait for 68 and then we'll cancel all the bills after. Bills. Sorry about that, Neil. All of the bids after that one.
We're not canceling any bills.
No, we're not canceling any bills. I wish I could get all the bills canceled, actually, not the Buffalo Bills, but all the other bills.
Well, that would
yeah, that would be nice if that would come through.
Imagine?
Yeah, that'd be nice. Like all of a sudden, you have no more bills. But that's what we're trying to do with trading, trying to make enough money that bills. Can you pay my bills? Those damn telephone bills.
And those automotive bills.
No,
literally the line is automobiles. It's one of the dumbest lines.
Yeah, that is a really dumb line.
So MLGO's coming down to that 15. Just want to quickly elaborate on the idea there. Tesla, if we get high of the day, I'm taking it out. So 1580 was the halt price. 15 even just happens to be where VWAP is. So I like halt levels for dips as well. So a bounce off of this can also work. And again, you have to be willing to adjust. Like I was looking at VWAP and 15 as an even level, and I forgot all about the fact that it halted at 1580. So a bounce off the halt price is just as valid for me. Once it gets down to about 16 even, I'll look for a bounce, try to jump into the long, give it to the halt level, which was $15.80. That'll be like a 75 stop, and that would be the bounce play for MLGO. As I said, Tesla, if it gets to the high of the day, the NASDAQ is pulling back, I'd take profit because it's 187. And that has been a level on Tesla. It's about 30 cents away from a fill, but if you're looking for an MLGO trade, the level 2 you should be on is MLGO.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the thing. If you're trading those kind of names, you definitely want to be looking in that area so that you can see all of the movements on that. So more outs there on NVIDIA. Oh, we already talked about taking some outs on Palantir. Upside, let's check out CCL, Carnival Cruise. Again, it's a positive name for us, but you know, because it was right away, you know, we don't have, like I had less shares on this one. Well, I'm not sure, but similar shares on this than I'm trading with NVIDIA. So it's not like NVIDIA is 10 times the price, or not that much, but 8 times. Anyways, as you go back up to the upside there for Carnival, nice dip buys into 16. I mean, now it's over with. The earnings are out. It's up 5%. They beat everywhere. I'm not sure exactly what was on the call, but it's going to be over close to now, or I don't know, not too volatile and not too much volume. So I think you can sort of probably respect a 17 bid now. You're well up, so let's wait to see if it can come back in.
Oh, no.
17 and change there. We did get that NVIDIA bid at 68, so that's turning out to be real good right there. The last one pays out, right? And so, again, I'm red on it now. I don't want to, I always say to everybody around here, let's be, not to myself, and I've already posted this up, and it was actually, if you want to go read something, it actually has quite a bit of views on this post, and that was right here. It has over 113,000 views right now, and it's just talking about how no more FOMO, just positive vibes, no more like, oh, I'll only be happy if this goes $1 in the money. It's like, that has nothing to do with anything, so just stay focused and focus on what matters, right? And I mean, at the end of the day, we want to put up winning trades and we want to put forward good ideas. And if they work out great, you know, we'll try to celebrate them like we're doing right now by face slapping ourselves up for NVIDIA, which is now finally 75 cents in the money and going lower right now. So there it goes right here. We could be back into this trade soon with more shares, but for right now, we're going to wait to see if we can get a downside push here for NVIDIA. Takes them out there at 121.50 on that flush. So again, all these little hits, remember, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Right now, we're making a little bit back. We will be red on it, but so far, so good on that backwards play. And Disney's just hovering around 102 right now. We still have 30% of that. Should have got out at the 50 period. So you want to talk about Tesla quickly? I know we have one
Before
more.
we go to Sector Watch, I did get tagged on Tesla. I got up to 186.85 and then pulled right back. So we did get out very, very quickly there. I still feel like the next trade is going to be like this little consolidation that you have in MLGO off of the previous haul price. I think this is a spot, and it's about to test 16. So if it holds at 16 on this dip, which is currently happening, I'm going to look to punch long on the way back up, stop at just underneath that haul price as mentioned. It is 10:40. Time to see what sectors are strong along with the NASDAQ, let's just say, because we like strong over weak.
Honestly, not really many sectors here with outstanding strength. The one exception might be technology services. A few stronger names in here. Meta up more than 2%. Google up 1.5%. Adobe and CRM pretty strong here as well. But other than that, things are going to be a little bit more mixed. Technology, electronic technology, not bad here either. We do have some weakness here in Broadcom, A&D, and a few of these other chip names. Lots of weakness in finance, but we get a little bit more mixture. Producer manufacturing, health technology, Eli Lilly to the upside after that OpenAI collaboration for using generative AI for some treatments there. Consumer services pretty mixed. Process industries pretty mixed. Health services and utilities a little bit weaker across the board. Retail trade, we have Amazon upside, but notable weakness here in Home Depot, Lowe's, and Walmart. We did get some housing price index data early today coming in a little bit lower than expected on a month-over-month basis. And then we also have to talk about the transportation sector. Uber, the one strong name here, getting a slight price target increase from Piper Sandler. But FedEx here, FDX, absolutely on watch ahead of its earnings tonight, guys.
Oh, I forgot about FDX.
That's right, FedEx. After the bell, you'll be able to catch that on the market recap show tonight. So FedEx, more of a bellwether stock than a trading stock. Yeah. But that doesn't mean we don't pay close attention to it. Can be a bit of a market mover. So as I said, it was a 90% chance that MLGO was going to be the next trade. It bounced off 16 or that halt price at 1580. It wants nothing with the 70s, so I can sit and want the 3/4 all I want. If it's not going to give it to me, and then you just got to be able to take what you can get on the initial bounce. So I thought the initial bounce would get to 17. I'm going to scalp out at 1-to-1 and then hold for the next. The next level up is the halt price down. That was like $18.90 something cents. So if it breaks 17 trail, if it breaks 18 trail, if it gets to the previous halt price out, That's the play on MLGO. Just going back over to Tesla, if the market's going to continue to be strong, the Nasdaq's pulling back in and holding some of those highs. I would like back into Tesla. It just wicked the same level we were in before, but it's a little sloppy in here. And it wasn't an easy consolidation. We had to get out and then kind of get back in to the same trade. I'd like to see a little something more defined on Tesla for a consolidation level on this next available dip. It's still a strong stock, but I'm not completely convinced because the market, like you were saying this before, it's like, oh, you know, in the morning when we're up, we're basically just at those levels at 350. Well, we're up still, but we're just at those levels at 11 o'clock and underneath those levels from 11. So still very much weak if you look at the overall NASDAQ. So it's a tricky spot to want to force yourself into some long ideas at this moment. I'm still looking for that other entry into AMD. I didn't just automatically jump back into the short at the same level. It's holding the upward trend. I'm going to look for a break of trend here on advanced micro devices, or maybe take a shot at that high of the day one more time. It is still a stock that I want to be short overall.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Neil, for that. NVIDIA does not want to break 121.50. It just bounced off there a couple times, so we take another out right there. We're getting a little lighter. We have about 35% of this trade still on, and I'm still waiting for view up, so I want to still stay in there. We are excited to welcome Kevin O'Leary soon, 11 o'clock. Hopefully 11 o'clock as he's en route. So hopefully he'll be here for that. So stay tuned for that, and we'll talk all about it with Brendo, and then he'll come back to us, and we'll do our thing with him as
Kevin
well.
At 11.
So, Kevin at 11. Yeah, good one. Yeah, we should tweet that out. We should tweet that out. That's a good one. Okay, so.
How's Fabian?
Yeah, good one, Fabian. There it is, 11:55. I mean, Rivian, I don't know, maybe I'll ask him what car he's rolling around in, because right now the Rivian R1T, R2T, whatever, R1S, no matter what you're rolling in right now, we're rolling in some of this today with Rivian. And it is your number one sticky note idea was to go long Rivian down here at $11. So it's really nice to see that we now do have a 40-cent winner on the name. Basically the whole move. We have the bottom of the day, and it is now at Z Top. So far so good. That reminds me of ZZ Top. You know, she's got legs, you know. I don't know. She knows how to use them, yeah.
Percentage of the viewers that know?
Probably, I don't know. I mean, we have some old viewers, but that's,
I'm going to say
ZZ Top is really, really.
47%.
Would know that song? Ooh, I don't know. That seems high to me. You might be right there. I don't know. I mean, people put it up. You know ZZ Top there? He knows a bit. Yeah, Fabian knows
Fabian's
a bit.
an old soul, though.
Okay.
I'll tell you who does know them is going to be Mr. O'Leary.
Oh, yes.
He plays the axe. He's on the axe.
Yeah.
I mean, we had him on a Zoom call. He was actually displaying them.
Yes,
for the first,
right.
it was
Did
the
he
second
play them?
time.
No.
He didn't play anything, but I'm pretty sure he mentioned it. But he mentions it all the time on Shark Tank.
Shout out to Noah there. He knows ZZ Top. So yeah,
I know you guys do.
A couple of people know ZZ Top
what's
there in the chat. All right. So I'm just going to sit here. Basically, there's 15 minutes left. I think NVIDIA can come back into the downside. I mean, look at the market. The market's breaking lower. We are out. I mean, you want to talk about saving some money on some trades. I mean, look at this out on Apple. I mean, getting out right there on Apple, it's sometimes you get that, you're not breaking view up and you get lucky. Sometimes it breaks it and rips, but at the end of the day, that's a decent spot right there for us on Apple. So we're really, really happy to be able to have that trade. And then thank you again for the kind words about the entry there on NVIDIA. But honestly, we've been into so many of these entries. We should have just waited again. And patience is a virtue that I am trying to possess more of these days. So if we can get a little more patience in the bloodstream here, then we know that will result in higher P&Ls. So we'll try to do that. We're trying to have patience on the way down right now, just in case the market gives it up a little bit. We saw a move yesterday. We said we were feeling bearish today for sure. The market really hasn't done, it's gone straight up, so don't get me wrong, but right now it's trying to figure it out. I'm going to still try to hold a bearish thought, but we could break back through 19.9. If we break back through 19.9, what's that, Ramin? Ramin wore her green sweater today, and she was all making sure to tell. Yeah, she was making sure to tell everybody about her green sweater, which looks very nice. But I did not notice the haircut. Yes. How many inches off?
Great.
She didn't even get her haircut. Thanks for the bad report there. She got layered. Layers.
She got her hair done.
Hair did.
Hair done.
She got her hair did.
Oh yeah, it's hair did. What am
Hair
I
did.
talking about?
Must be date day or
hair.
date night. Getting married. Okay, here we go. I didn't know that.
man,
Breaking
fuck it.
news right now on Ramin. Okay, so, yeah. NVIDIA just goes back up to the upside. I will reload this thing in and around 122.40, 122.50. So that would be something that we would think about reloading here, but not until then. We just talked about patience, so let's have that. And that's 122.60 high. We got to get a little bit closer than that.
Yeah, it might be early. Like, so Tesla, we were good to wait once, but we might have been too early anyway. So we waited for it to maybe test a higher low. It just pulled with a big dip into 185 half here. So on the way back, I got the halves, actually at 53s. But I'm looking back at it, you had the pre-market high in there at 185 even, and then you had this level here, 185.10. So I think I'm a little bit early to this move. And if I think that's true, then we're just gonna get out tight stop. I was explaining the reason why I'm gonna have a tight stop on it, and just look for something a little bit more defined. NLGO is still not doing, like it's not doing anything parabolic. It's held the previous haul price, but it is yet to break out the top. This is like 1740. If it breaks that, we trail and then look for the move back into that previous haul price. So we're holding for Dream here on MLGO. AMD I still think is a short, and I'm on the offer, but I didn't get filled up here. Just at that, I wanted the same price that we got before, and it doesn't want to give it to us, but it's still trending up. And if a stock is putting in higher lows and continuing to trend, I think you want to get the price near the top. I don't want to chase just yet. If it puts in a lower high, that's a good thing, but I'm going to give it a chance to still be a short at the actual high of the day. So what else we got? Yeah, Dixter, I think Tesla's got some support down here, but you know, like I said, I felt like I was a little bit early to it, and I said I wanted to see a consolidation, then I didn't wait for a consolidation. I think it was the right call to jump out and wait for some kind of sideways action. Let it hold the level for 5 or 10 minutes, and then get into the long. There's nothing wrong with that. We say patience all the time. Sometimes you just gotta listen to yourself. So I think it was a good out to risk 15 cents, or to just get out for 15-cent hit, and then wait for the next opportunity here on Tesla.
Okay, it's a good trade. I mean, Tesla, I mean, I think there's some great opportunities there. We did talk about that. I thought that story was a little bit, we have which?
What?
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, all right, still got 6 seconds there, Fabian. We've got money. We've got money talks. So right now we do have NVIDIA trying to talk to the downside. I was just gonna quickly talk about Disney, but it doesn't really matter. I spend way too much money on Disney's not Prime, whatever the heck it's called, Disney Plus. You know what, honestly, when I gotta go home and I gotta find out on the app so I can find out the last time someone logged into Disney Plus. And then I'm gonna be to my wife like, yo, well, you're done watching Vanderpump Rules? Like,
So
you know what I mean?
the answer then, because she watches that show. So
I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna find out the last time. She killed Bridgerton over, I mean, that just keeps on releasing more and more episodes.
Is that on Netflix?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is what I'm trying to get through, man. I mean, we're watching, oh, there's a good magic
Bear's
show.
pretty
There's a
good.
good magic show. The Bears is on what show is that?
No, The Bear. It's got the guy from Shameless, Lip from Shameless.
Is that on?
It's on Disney.
Oh, that's on Disney. Okay, so good. All right, so maybe we can get justified here. We are long Disney, and I am a shareholder, so maybe I should check out said platform.
I could spend 20 minutes talking about what they've done wrong in The Acolyte, by the way, which is the new Disney. I'm a real Star Wars fan. Yeah, and I'm not going to do it, but just trust me, they have seriously bungled a lot of the storytelling, actually adhering to
I thought what's his name
truth.
was still there writing a lot of it. George Lucas.
If you have established characters, I'm just going to leave it at this. If you have a pretty important character in a series that fans know who they are, and you do a story at a different time frame, and you want to put that character in, make sure they should be alive. Because if they shouldn't be alive in that time period,
so what's Jorge
maybe
doing?
they should not actually be in the show. I'm just going to leave it. You know what? I said I wasn't going to.
Ooh, Hulu. I don't know if we get Hulu. Here.
Because now I'm just in a bad mood. MLGO trails at 1750. I love Star Wars, and I think they're really
Crave.
screwing the pooch on this. What's on Crave?
I don't know. He just said Hulu and Crave and all that. This is share some very, very.
I don't have
similar-
Crave. I want to watch the new.
I've got Crave. There's Shoresies on there. They have all the HBO Max stuff and all that.
Shoresy.
We still haven't gone over to Money Talk, so let's do that now.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. My bad. I totally forgot.
You're bad. I'm the one that was like, we're not going over there.
DXY continuing to hold very nicely here at this 105.50 area. That was a bit of an area of resistance, holding it pretty well over here, trying to push higher. Let's see if we can get to that 105.80. That's been a bit of a local top as of late over the last few days. Quite a bit of economic data coming through, specifically in the housing space. We got a 6.3% move here for the housing price index for April versus 6.7% prior. Then for the housing price index month over month, 0.2% versus 0.3% expected. So a little bit lower than expected for the house price index for April on a monthly basis. Richmond, we got quite a few Richmond index numbers here, but Richmond manufacturing index for June, -10 versus -3 expected. They all came in lower than expected. CB consumer confidence slightly above the expectation here. 100.4 versus 100 estimate. 101.3 was the prior number there. So quite a bit of economic data here coming through. Worth noting as well, we have a couple Fed speakers. Fed Bowman coming on again later today, along with Fed's Cook. But it's worth noting here, we did have Fed's Bowman speaking at 7 a.m. saying that she'd actually be okay with raising rates if the situation does not approve. A little bit hawkish, especially considering that when we had the Fed meeting a couple weeks ago, Fed Chair Jerome Powell said that no one's current base case was to raise rates. So this is a bit of an interesting comment here coming from Fed's Bowman. Fed speak absolutely on watch, guys, going forward.
Oh, man.
Oh, we're always, the Fed speaks always on watch. It's just a matter of how much it's going to matter. How much it's going to matter, yes. So I'm out of MLGO. We said if it finally broke that consolidation, the previous halt was going to be the level. So it tagged 18, and we got out essentially on this break of 18. We just took it out in front of the quarters. It's right there right now. The next trade, I'm not 100% sure, because if it gets back down to VWAP, I don't know how good of a thing that is if it doesn't put in a higher low. So I'll play it by ear for MLGO. We looked for that as a break. We missed a break. Wasn't fast enough on the reopen. I wanted a fail breakdown at 20, missed that, wasn't fast enough for it. So sometimes the best trades are when it consolidates or bounces off a level, because then you're not worried about like everyone and their mother trying to get an automatic order as it breaks 20. Like that's tough to get on the way back down, or when it reopens above 16. Like unless you take the opening print, you wouldn't have gotten that trade. Tesla is still trying to find its way. This is feeling a little bit more consolidative. So you got the wick bottom. I was in, said that's too early, got out. Now it's looking like a consolidation. It's got the hold of 185. All it has to do is hold it a couple more times here. It's 10:55. This is not the time when I think you want to jump in all willy-nilly at these key levels. And Tesla up 1.5%. This would now be a VWAP hold, and that's what we'd like to see. BT, K-Debs. I'm trying to figure out why would Bit Digital be running. I thought the news was that they're not getting the deal. There will not be a buyout of Bit Digital, and Bit Digital's up 41%. So I guess it's just squeezing for reasons unknown to me. Last I had checked, the deal wasn't happening with them. So yeah, BT making a run. Maybe it's just a technical squeeze or something like that. It's got a decent enough short float, but yeah, I'm not sure why that one's going. AMD just came back up. We said we'd wait for our price in front of the high of the day. 158.73 is the high. So you can probably figure out where a stop would go in that range, whether you like it at 80 or at the 3/4. Distinction without a difference. VWAP still the target for profit out in front of AMD. But we waited to get our price. We've got it. The NASDAQ's pulling back in. AMD still wants higher lows. So we'll try to get something out in front of 185. Just took that fill. Oh. And now if it bounces off VWAP, I think I get it all out if it bounces off VWAP again. I just want to respect it. But AMD, we waited for that short price. Essentially, we've been short this only in an upward trend, so taking profit has to be a thing. Was that about Kava?
No, he's talking about Caterpillar. So he was just saying
I was going to say, because Kava...
Yeah, I wanted to buy... Yeah, I was hoping that Kava came down, but I don't think it has.
No, Kava's just still holding the highs. I don't think
when he said that, I was like, Kava, I got to buy some of that
It's
stock.
so high.
But it's Caterpillar. Caterpillar, again, just down. It's been getting hit pretty good too, man. I mean, you want to talk about some of the leaders. We see NVIDIA trying to pull back. NVIDIA's down. Well, NVIDIA's up now, today 3%. So it was down 18% the last 3 days for NVIDIA. And now I have to zoom in too much because we don't show the pre-split. That's too bad on the daily chart for NVIDIA, but we'll get that fixed. So up 3% today. So it looks like it's down 15. It will avoid bear territory, as Adara and I talked about that on the market recap show.
Well,
going down.
it will.
Today it will, yeah. So far today. Well, it might not after. I mean, it just has to go red a little bit, and then.
It doesn't matter how long it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could easily get red and into bear territory at some point there. What I was getting at was, yeah. So we're looking at Nvidia. Oh, yeah. Sorry. What I meant to say was we've bid now. Now I have to bid down here. This is like one. So just since 10:30, right? So the last half hour, we haven't really been able to solve this stock here, right? Well, we have been. We made a lot of money back right there, but it hasn't broken through 50. So again, to not be stubborn about anything, let's make sure we get another piece out. So if it comes back into 60s, we'll do that 121.60 or so for Nvidia. We're gonna get that back out. I have to recharge my earpiece here as it has died because I forgot to plug it in last night.
Gotta go wired, baby.
Yeah, I tried that. That's
I got this thing. Like
too
it's actually
annoying.
wired. You wired. I mean the bad part of it is that every single time I get up, I have to remember to unplug it, or I'm just going to destroy it. I've already forgotten twice, but thankfully it's not destroyed. But yeah, it's just less hassle. And when we started out, before we were on YouTube, we actually wore these things every single day, and we're like, yeah, we hate them. They're terrible. That's what the pros apparently like, Brendan. But we have a bit of a move happening here, pulling back into Tesla. So this is the level that we wanted to see it bounce off of. It's not quite getting down to 185, so it's a consolidation, but look how whippy it is. It's still wicking around here on Tesla. Not really all that firm off the bid, so the only position I am in is back into AMD, just tracking the names that we're actually paying attention to. I just keep typing MGLO the first time. So whenever I do it live, I type MGLO, not MLGO. It's pulling right back into that 16 level. So I don't know that I want a re-entry automatically. Might have to consolidate there again, and then we could work off of it. But yeah, super strong stock today, but only up 13% when all is said and done. And the reason for that is like it closed taking out that 15. So it's traveled a wide road. Like from bottom to top, it's $10. But really, it's kind of right back where it started. That is a hefty failure off of 21. So it's not an automatic reload for me just yet. I think Tesla off VWAP is the next play.
So I'm really glad that we had just talked about this. We will go a little bit later. We'll wait for Kevin to come through.
Yeah.
And then maybe
Yeah,
if that doesn't happen, we can throw it back over to these guys sitting right beside us. But there it is right there. We just talked about taking a bid, so we did that. 121.60s. I mean, we knew the bottom was 50s. We took a 65 fill there as it was dancing around a little bit. So we will grab that fill, and we did not reload. I mean, it could have been a reload spot. It's where we had it before. I want to get it a little bit higher. I just want to put on some shares so that if it does keep dancing like this, I know we have the top. And if I get stopped out, I'd rather lose 20 cents than 50 cents. So that's what I'm going to try to play here. Again, not really convinced that this market wants to do anything right now. If anything, I feel like it wants to just drift back up here. And if it does that, then we will get hit out of our Nvidia trade. So, which is fine. Like I said, you had sort of seen what we're doing now. I now have less than a quarter left of this initial trade rate there. But you can see here, like we were long getting stopped out, and look, we were long and then it worked. Then we were short and just getting some profit, then some stop outs. Then we just took a short here against 122.60 and able to start to ring the register on the way back down to the point of getting 75% of it out. So we'll lose on the reload if it comes back up, but I'm not getting filled until 40s. So if that happens, that's where we'll be. And it almost got there, man. It got to 38. So incoming 40 right now. So watch out for that one for our fill on Nvidia. Just in case we miss it. Well, here we go. We're going to get it. Yeah, there it is. So we get it now. So here comes Nvidia. Reloaded now at 122.40. Very, very comfortable. About 30 cents worth of risk. Let's see if this will print through, man. It just needs to get back to 122.
Yeah, and today they're following each other. Oh yeah, that's right, 11 o'clock. So look, we're going to stick around until Kevin comes through, Kevin O'Leary stepping through. So the position board did flip to the midday because that's what it does at 11 o'clock.
Flip it back.
But right when NVIDIA took that high, AMD also, but AMD broke the high. NVIDIA got to the high, AMD broke the high. So we got the reload, we said we're going to take some out in front of 158, which we did. That's been the only thing that works. Scalp some out, and when it retests, wait for it to show some weakness at that same price, but you're just only going to the upside, trending in higher and higher. I'm asking myself if I want to take a break of 123. I think, look, I'm going to take a 123 break on NVIDIA, but not here. Got to be the 123 level. The even dollar breaks have been better for breakout trades, at least for myself, but I'm looking for a break there. MLGO, not really anything happening on it just yet. And yeah, I think I'm going to take 123 just for a scalp trade for a breakout here, as we're waiting for Mr. O'Leary to jump on through.
Yep. Okay, so we almost got stopped out there on NVIDIA as it does hit close to that 60 marker. So let's be careful. We are short right now at 44s. So it just came back in and we got a 40 fill because I was like, oh God, this is not going out very well for me. So let's wait to see what happens. There's a big size there at 60, but that's not big size. It just looks like it is. It's not. It's
why 60 though?
I don't know. It's going to take it out. I mean, I'm short against 60, so that's why. But there it is. See? So it was the high of the day. It just got blasted through. So there goes NVIDIA. There goes NVIDIA. Yeah, we actually got a good, I think we got a good fill there. Yeah, we got 70s. So we'll take that fill on a break of 65. There goes NVIDIA straight up to the upside. Let's just stop shorting it now. But again, we sort of had talked about these levels. We can now wait for 125 and see if that can come back in. Apple, again, trying to find bottoms. Maybe they're 209 and change for Apple. The SPY and the NASDAQ both heading straight up to the upside. And here comes NVIDIA. See, this is why you got to get out when levels break, right? You can't just make some money back and then just throw it all away once it comes back to the upside. So there we go. We take out that 20-cent hit. We get 70s, better than 90s. Let's wait to see what's happening there.
Every time.
Some people talking about ARM as well.
The only time 70s aren't better than 90s is if you're talking about music, for some people.
Right, that makes sense. I like that one.
I mean, eras play either way. You can also sometimes get flack for saying that. So 23, if it breaks, we're taking it. And every time I pull up a stock, like it's about to break, it's going to go, we're going to get the fill, you know what happens. Cue the drill, stock pulls back. But that doesn't mean that you get too far away from it. I just want to zoom out to the 15-minute. If it breaks this 23, you've got an obvious 24.5 to 125. 2 days ago was the bottom, and then yesterday's top. Like that would be the range for the scalp trade on any breakout in NVIDIA. I saw a lot of people talking about ARM. I always say this, it's okay to be wrong, it's not okay to stay wrong. Trade at the key levels. There's your pre-market high, there's the 150 level. It's now trending past that. And in the pre-market show, when I was talking about this, it said if it holds and breaks these levels out, I can't even think about a short till it's at 160 or 162. That's a long ways away. So NVIDIA trying to break out. Tesla, we missed the dip buy. Maybe we haven't. I'm not in it, is what I should say, because it still could give another bounce off of VWAP. I wanted a consolidation. By the time it did, I felt I was chasing at 185.5 and wanted something closer to the 185 even, which we might still get here.
All right, I'm going to try one more long here, and it's going to be on Apple. I mean, let's go for it. Apple down here at 209. You know, you're seeing right here, you do have a 20-minute chart that looks like we're trying to hold out a little bit here near this bottom. I mean, obviously 209 is going to be the breaker spot. I'm not going to, that was early this morning when we broke all the way down to 208.50. So let's try to go longer again on Apple. It's going to be my number one stock. We have one red name today. It's NVIDIA. So yeah, that's kind of disappointing for sure that is the case right there. But here we go. Yes, ma'am. There it is. It's Apple. It's a nice little push. Yes. Okay, good. So we just bought Apple. It's a money trade right there off that bottom, 209.30. We're just getting some out now 50s. Just got a 55. Let's see if we get going just a little bit more on Apple back to the upside. Look, Rivian's still at day's high. We're still long down here at 11. That's still working. But again, 10% of that trade and 10% of Palantir as well as that goes back up to the highs. We could have reloaded that one. That's definitely a missed opportunity for me there on PLTR. So yeah, so far so good. The day just continues to move on here as the NASDAQ fighting to get to highs again. We said that the only one space this needed to go was 19.9, and that's right where it is again. So maybe if you're looking for a short, this could be the spot with us just getting more Apple, which there it is, man. Apple of my eye today definitely goes AAPL with a nice move back up as the NASDAQ tries to get through, man. It's trying to get through, looking like it wants to take out the day's high one more time. What can stop this market? Apparently nothing, as Apple continues upside again. A little bit of a pullback yesterday on NVIDIA weakness, but that weakness is back today with strength.
Look at Meta.
Yeah, NVIDIA 4.5%. Microsoft 52-week highs yesterday. Meta's ripping as well.
Meta's been an absolute rocket ship. So NVIDIA broke the 123 level. I guess if you took that 122.60 random price, that was also pretty good, but waited for the even dollar. Remember, all these levels from yesterday are where I think you take profit, so halves, evens, and then all the way up. I'm back into Tesla on the dip buy. Okay, now that that's settled in, I have a break-even stop on it. It's Meta. Meta is really, really carrying the day. Up 2.2%, but it's not necessarily that it's up, it's how it is moved. Like really clean off yesterday's level. Every level of resistance has been a place to buy it on a dip. That's generally speaking a very, very good and bullish thing. If it holds 508, you're already breaking back out to retest. This little high in June was like $517, but really it was kind of like a nasty wick. Where we are right now is the big level. 511, once, twice, 3 times the lady.
Possible sold.
For Meta. If it breaks 511, that could absolutely fly. But I don't like breakouts on Meta because of the spread. So it's going to have to be looking for some kind of a dip buy in Meta. So next offer is out in front of 124 on NVIDIA. If we get it, great. Tesla's trying to hold on to 185, which is VWAP. If you're wondering why it's still on us, we are looking for Kevin O'Leary is going to be dropping through, so we're going to stay with you're going to stay with us until he pops on through to join Brennan at the desk.
All right, yeah, good trade there on NVIDIA breaking through 123. We like that. Play the momentum. That's a smarter thing, I think, right there, instead of trying to always go short as it's trying to come back a little bit. 123.40, 123.50. Look, hey, I know a stock that has some good cash flow, and it's Disney right now, as Disney trying to go back up to the upside right now as we go long at 102 and change right now coming through. So Disney, nice upside move. We're going to try it here. It has fallen back in. We'll go against 101.70. We'll try about a 30-cent or so hit here on Disney if that does work out for us. We still are long Apple. We've only been long Apple today, and we've been long short NVIDIA, long Apple. That's been working out. I do like the Disney call. I do like Rivian down here as well. Rivian's trying to break through 12, so that's looking like a good little level for sure. Oh man, there's NVIDIA pulling back finally. Is this going to be the top? Every time I think there's a top, it just breaks it. So I feel like you want to wait for a VWAP retracement, maybe back into 122 and change there for NVDA. So we'll wait for that name, but so far so good here on the day. The market's holding up. NASDAQ up 0.7, the ES looking stronger on bank strength as well. JP Morgan recovered all from their earnings, right back to $200 again for JPM. So again, another great name. It's JP Morgan, and it's trying to figure itself out here. So we'll wait to see what winds up happening now. But with banks just around the corner, we start off with Micron tonight, then the banks come next week.
So we talk about the banks all the time, and I've been scouting TD Bank. It's been bad. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that this is a good-looking chart. Anyone can see a downtrend when you have lower highs, and this is a lot of lower highs. But the 54 level, it's already held a couple times this year. If you go and zoom way back out, 54 and 55 has been a pretty key level. But this is pretty close to holding that level and breaking trend back up. I want to see this. If we get back above the 50 period, I'm going to be looking to get in some TD in my personal account. We always talk about what are the things that you're looking for. You already mentioned Caterpillar. Yeah. I was going to talk about Caterpillar today, but I think we already mentioned it because that's a stock I'm looking to buy some dips on. I'm not there just yet, but I think we're pretty close to getting to that spot. NVIDIA is not on the New York Stock Exchange, Neil. It is still on the NASDAQ, which is a good thing, but it's slowing down here at the 123.5. I still think get out if it breaks 123 because really, this accelerated at the previous high, 122.5. 123 was just a round number. So if it does dip, I think it's more logical that dip support would be down around here at 22.5 or at VWAP 21.5. So I'm not looking for a reload at the round number. I'm looking for the reload at the level that was more significant. And that's about $1 away from here. So that means getting out at 123 if it breaks, and then getting back in either at 122.5 or 121 and a half. CPDB, I'm not saying TD because it's the, like of all the banks, you're like, well, of all the banks, why would you get into TD? Just because I like what it's doing technically. 54 was a key level on TD Bank before, and if it breaks a trend above it, I like the entry. It's not sitting here trying to endorse TD as the strongest stock. It has not been performing the best in Canada, not even close.
Okay, yeah, no, not even close. Yeah, Royal Bank and
Royals.
whatnot. Yeah, Royal's been good. But yeah, some of them bouncing off some lows there as well. I mean, what is definitely not a Canadian name is Apple. And that just continues to go higher. We're now 40 cents in the money. And I was just saying to myself as Neil was punching long there in NVIDIA, and I was like, you know what? This market is taking out highs. So why are we not thinking about a long? You know, so we just played a strong name, Apple. We played it back into the day's low. I like this trade for Apple. I mean, pretty decent move back in. And we'll support it and see if we can get a little longer on that one. Disney, again, we talked about it, doesn't seem to want to move, so maybe we'll have to move off of that. A name that I do like that I know is a little Kathy Arkish is DraftKings. Like, I thought DraftKings had a great first mover advantage, right? I mean, one of the biggest names there in sports gambling. You know, I mean, just even last night, you know, with the Stanley Cup and all this kind of stuff, like, there's a lot of gambling, and guess what sport is just around the corner, and it's pretty much the reason why most people are watching it. There's football, and when NFL comes and college football hits, man, the gambling just ramps up. So I really like DraftKings, $36 or so coming through for DKNG. So again, like those levels, I think there's an opportunity to buy some DraftKings, especially if you do dip down in. So for today though, I mean, down 2%, we still like a 40 fade. I just don't know if that's going to be coming in right now. And then hopefully today I can go get a little bit of a fade as well. I saw Randy's nice haircut there. But okay. Yeah, it's 11:15. We are getting ready for our guest of the day, and we'll throw over there when that is ready.
Yeah, 100%. So like I already said, I'm into Tesla. It's still bouncing. I don't want to be forcing anything, so we waited for this to get to VWAP. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that MLGO. I said I was pretty uncertain about what the next move was going to be here. It did give you a higher low consolidation trade. So if you basically just play the same game plan as before. Now, I like the trade because halt level, support, show me support. Once it bounced in, like, just go long. In this case, you just basically had to have faith in this higher low at 17. Look for a similar play, like it does a wick bottom. I don't think you want that entry. I think you probably want something in the 17 range that you can stop out 16.5. And it's made another move higher. So you are getting a rounded bottom on MLGO holding out to VWAP. Just remember, oh, yeah, there it goes. Like, it just was just at 19.5 as I was explaining that setup, pulls right back into 18 even. This is a wild stock. If I don't have a very clearly defined entry where, like, I want it bouncing off this level and I can get a tight stop because I can get a good price, then I'm not touching it. Not when it's out in the middle of nowhere. You got 10% up, 10% down from high to low. But we've got our special guest over at the desk with Brendan. You've been waiting all morning long. So let's throw it on over. I know we're all excited.
We have indeed. There he is, fresh off filming the first section of season 16 of Shark Tank. Mr. Wonderful is back in the building. It's good to see you.
Great to be here. Thank you.
It's been a long time. We're happy to have you back in the building. There's so much to touch on. I want to get right into a few things here. Let's talk about crypto out of the gate. A lot of people talking about a major level here coming back into play for Bitcoin. It's been tested many, many times, the 60,000 area. Let's start from a high level. Where do you see the industry right now? And then I want to get into regulations and what the election is going to bring.
Sure. I'm actually bullish Bitcoin. I'm long Bitcoin, have been for quite a while, and I'll tell you why. For Bitcoin to achieve the lofty heights people have been talking about for a decade now, it's going to have to be fully integrated into the financial services systems all around the world. And the only way that's going to happen is through fully regulated platforms. And so if you take stock of where we're at, all the crypto cowboys are gone, or they're in jail, or both. And you know, Gensler, who, for all of the criticism he's taken, remained consistent on his message.
Yep.
And he basically pursued them all and wiped them out and threw them in jail. And I get it. And I think What he wants is this to be an asset class like any other. It could be gold, could be other alternative asset classes, fully regulated by commodities and exchanges. And he is achieving that. At the same time, which is a positive, getting rid of crypto cowboys is a positive. Here's a second positive. Within Congress, on a bipartisan basis now, there's a movement afoot to legitimize digital payment systems, including Bitcoin and Ethereum in that metric. And so there's many, many different bills going through the system. And this time they look like they're going to be successful right after the election. So that's going to clear the way for, let's say an institution wants to put a 3% weighting in Bitcoin, they'll be able to do that. But in order to do that, they have to be able to have liquidity on a compliant exchange. Now, that's where it gets interesting, because in the U.S., Gensler is still in litigation with Coinbase, the largest exchange in the U.S. And so institutions really can't put a lot of capital there, because they're right on the other side of the desk. They're regulated on every other asset class on a mark-to-market basis. So that's holding up the U.S. But in Canada, remarkably, we've achieved that now. We've got a consolidation in the crypto space, in the exchange space. The emerged winner is WonderFi. I'm very proud of that. I'm a shareholder, obviously, and I own the stock, just to disclose that and be transparent. But I think it's a renaissance period now. And the stock is trading, is a penny stock now, but I think that's going to change, because the minute you start to get integration of financial services to all of these asset classes in the US, Canadians will also allocate the same way, and that will include banks. Now, we've got an oligopoly of banks here. Where are they going to get liquidity? On an exchange regulated by the OSC, cleared by the OSC, in compliance with the OSC, and that's WonderFi. Over 1 million accounts in Canada, in every province, completely in compliance with the regulator, not being litigated, and at the same time, you can actually hold your coin there and have liquidity and full transparency. So that is the picks and shovel of the Canadian market, and I anticipate tremendous value inherent there over time. Globally, you've got M2. That is sucking a lot of assets off Binance right now, because it's compliant to the ADGM. So if you're Asian or Middle East or even some European countries, that's where you're going. For full disclosure, I'm a shareholder there as well. So I would say Bitcoin, I'm long. I haven't sold any off. It's a 5% weighting in my portfolio. So is gold. And watches are at 3%.
We'll touch on that coming up. M2, for anyone who's wondering, is Middle East.
Yeah, M2 is the exchange out of Abu Dhabi. It's backed by sovereign wealth. They opened up with $300 billion of liquidity. They're tied to the banks there. They're completely compliant. You can own it. The only way you can own it is buy shares in a company called Phoenix, which is on the Abu Dhabi exchange. That's how I got access to it, because it's private right now. But the largest sovereign wealth funds own it, so I feel pretty comfortable with the position there.
You've been a proponent in the, for lack of a better term, the picks and shovels, if you will, of this industry, instead of the assets themselves. For someone who's maybe sitting on the sideline saying, a lot of volatility here still. The higher the price goes in Bitcoin, it seems like, the more volatility we're going to get. Where would you look at this point for an opportunity if you're looking at the exchange side of things?
Well, now that, I look at it, if you're an investor and you say, well, I want to have some exposure to cryptocurrencies and digital payment systems, I would own exchanges and probably 2 of the tokens, which would be Ethereum and Bitcoin. But I would never buy an ETF that held those. Why would I pay the fees for an asset that I can simply open an account on WonderFi and own it in perpetuity at a fraction of the cost of what I'm being charged on an ETF? I'm still exposed to the asset, I'm still exposed to the volatility, but I have total transparency and liquidity. And that is essentially my thesis about why you would own exchanges. I'm never going to buy an ETF for digital crypto. That seems insane. I don't know why anybody would do that. And so just find an exchange that's compliant, open an account, transfer whatever amount you want from fiat, and you can certainly do that at WonderFi in Canada, the Canadian dollar. And then you can monitor it, 24/7 on your mobile phone if you wish, and feel that you're safe because it's regulated.
You mentioned banks there. Let's talk about, we had a significant print, I think, this morning for CPI and inflation on this side of the border. Talk us through from a higher level here where you feel this inflation battle is, what needs to be done. As far as the Bank of Canada specifically is concerned, we had one cut already. They were pointing at July saying, maybe 2 coming, but that looks like it's going to be kicked down the road a little bit. A lot of people in a tough spot, I think, coming up here in the next few months as far as mortgages are concerned.
Yeah, that cut looks like it was a mistake given the print this morning, and they won't make any more. Remember, inflation in Canada is not the Bank of Canada's fault. They are reacting to the reality that the government printed too much money during COVID. It wasn't necessarily well spent, but many governments had a knee-jerk reaction to do that. The PPP loans in the United States, the ERC, credits, the 1099 that's going on there now for small business. The CHIPS and Science Act, Inflation Reduction Act turned out to be very inflationary. We probably double printed, both in Canada and the United States, what we needed to, but we didn't know what the pandemic was going to be like. So you can't put 100% blame on the government here. You can blame them for a lot of other stuff, but not necessarily that. Inflation is sticky in Canada, particularly around protein, foods. We're up about 32% since the beginning of the pandemic, and we have stopped going up at a rapid rate, but we're still way above what we were. Housing is a huge problem. And then there's energy. We have, I would argue, bad energy policy in this country. And just as a result of it, we're paying the price. We're one of the wealthiest countries on earth with energy resources totally squandered by bad policy. And so this is going to be a very difficult time, as you suggested, in the rollovers of commercial real estate in Canada and individual residential housing. It's going to be painful. And again, Bank of Canada has their hands tied on this one.
Yeah.
They're going to have to hold the line. Otherwise, they're going to have even worse inflation. And so I think there's a bigger issue at play here about the governance of Canada and the policy in Canada, and what should be done next is a good question.
For our friends in the U.S., big part of our audience, obviously in the U.S., the situation very different from the Fed's perspective. We're in an election year. I want to get your thoughts on what the market's going to do as far as the election coming up in November. But how does policy shift here to help this inflation battle south of the border?
Yeah. So remember, for our friends to the south of the border, they were promised 7 rate cuts only 14 months ago. They got none. And they're not going to get any this year. The prints are really strong inflation there. It's very sticky, particularly again on protein, on energy, and on vicious on housing, just brutal. And so even rents and everything else. So you've got a very interesting time in the US because you're weeks away. Actually, this week will be the first debate. It'll be heavily focused on policy, inflation being one of them. But they have some other issues. They've got border security, which is a massive issue now with the imagery of every day what's happening over the Texas border. They've got massive issues around housing prices. They've got issues around energy security. They've got foreign affairs issues around wars and their roles in them. And obviously you can see how divided the country is. It's almost got a Vietnam feeling to it these days. I teach at Harvard and a couple of other colleges there, and it's pretty nasty on campus. And it doesn't matter what side you're on, it's nasty. And so that is a divided situation. But many people ask me, well, why is the market so buoyant given this divisiveness? Well, because there's a 50-50 chance that we're having an administrative change south of the border to a very accommodative, pro-business, low-tax, lighter regulation. That's at least a 50-50 chance, and that's why this is happening. You're hitting new highs in anticipation of a change of regime in the White House in November.
It's an interesting point, and more to come as this year plays out. We're a lot to cover. As I mentioned, I want to get to semiconductors, and I want to get to AI. You've been very active in the AI space this year. Tell us a little bit about your ventures and from a higher level, where we're at as far as AI is concerned.
It's a great question. And AI, and people ask me, what about NVIDIA? What about NVIDIA? Well, why is it, such an extraordinary situation? Well, AI, everybody should consider, is going to affect all 11 sectors of the S&P with productivity enhancements. AI development itself is really expensive. So you've got 3 major stacks being developed. You've got the Amazon stack, you've got the Microsoft stack, you've got the Google stack. And in one way or another, they're in partnerships with each other, and OpenAI, et cetera. That's billions a quarter in terms of the hardware, the data centers, and the development. But once you have the stack, the real productivity is where I'm playing, and many others are too. How can I take a stack add to the top of it for a vertical. And I'll give you an example. Watches are, as you know, are near and dear to me, but I'm a watch collector, and one of the most broken systems in jewelry and watches and collectibles is the insurance policy. Most people put their watches on their home package and say, okay, I bought this Rolex for $17,000 20 years ago, and my home insurance policy, which depreciated its value, says it's worth $800. The market price of that Rolex is $64,000 now because it's a vintage Daytona. And so, the value of that changes daily. Now, it's impossible to write a policy, a replacement policy, unless you have AI that can scrape the data from the auctions every 24 hours and guarantee in a policy that can be repriced daily on the risk. And you can issue that policy now, and I've done that with a product called Wonder Care. I did it for myself to ensure I may travel with, let's say, 20 or 30 pieces, and the rest stay in bank vaults. I don't need to insure the stuff under the streets of Zurich. I need to insure what's with me here in Canada, for example. So that policy allows me to do that at Wonder Care. We've partnered with some of the largest reinsurers in the world. They understand the issue. They too have been befluxed by it. They couldn't figure it out. We did it. And I'm very fortunate that I have millions of followers who are also watch collectors. So I'm able to acquire customers at a zero customer acquisition cost, write policies, and together we modify the technology. So that's just for insurance. That's just one sector. Let's talk about media. Every day in the United States, $50 million worth of remnant cable time is purchased in 15-second and 30-second blocks, whether it be a cable or a network or whatever. And let's say, in my case, I have 52 companies spending $2 million a day, $3 million a day. Well, why don't we aggregate our buy and buy $50 million a week or $60 or $100 million worth of cable remnant and parcel it out to 1,000 companies? We can only do that with an AI stack, which we've done. That's wonderads.com. You can go and see it there yourself and look at it. So you as a small business only spending $50,000 a week on social media can now put a third of that into remnant cable and lower your customer acquisition cost. And on and on and on. So I'm working on these stacks. That's really what matters to me. And here's another one. Social media for small businesses. When you have to post on Twitter or on LinkedIn, on Instagram or on TikTok, it's complicated if you're trying to do that yourself. Why not just use an AI stack in wonderengine.com, which we've done, and all of these companies are signing up for $99 a month and automating all their social media, generating it through social media, posting it through social media, monitoring customer acquisition costs through social media, all with an AI stack. So I've ripped off Richard Branson. Remember, he does everything with Virgin? He was the guy that told me this. You're Mr. Wonderful. Make everything Wonder Ads, Wonder Engine, Wonder Care, and you'll see the spillover effect, and he was right. So it's good to be Mr. Wonderful.
Always. I read a note this morning, quickly on the semiconductor side of things, I read a note this morning suggesting shorts on NVIDIA were up 5 billion in 3 days. Obviously, no one's picking a top on NVIDIA for a short, but the entire float, if you consider the short percentage. What brings this back down to earth? It's been just a monumental move for a stock like NVIDIA, the entire sector. What brings this back down to earth?
Shorting the stock is mispricing the reality that NVIDIA is not a semiconductor company, actually. It has a huge moat around it. Its firmware is more valuable than its chipsets. It's writing the algorithms and the operating system that I can build a stack on top of. So if I have an NVIDIA data center and I'm buying and renting time off it, I can build anything I want on top of that, but I have to be compliant through their API. That's how they're protecting their moat, and no one's even close to what they've developed there. Now, 18 months ago, the refresh rate of that moat, if you want to call it that firmware or that software, whatever you want to call the integration with the chip, was a 36-month refresh cycle. In their latest iteration, they've turned it to 24, and they just came out last week and said we're going to refresh every 12 months. So nobody can afford to compete with that right now. And so what will bring the stock back to earth will be when someone like an Amazon, which is spending billions on their own chipset and their own moat and their own firmware, announce their first corporate customer. Then all of a sudden, it's like data centers. It's like AWS versus Google, and you're going to see margin compression because of commoditization. That will happen. When? I don't know. But when that happens, you want to be short. NVIDIA.
I know there's two guys over at the desk that want to say hi and have a couple of
Oh,
questions.
those
here.
guys, the watch guys over there.
The watch guys over at the desk here have a couple of questions. We'll bring in Sean, I think, first.
Yeah, I'll take it. I just got the Luminor on right here. What, you coming over here, Ramin, in 1 second? Yeah, there it is right there. What do you got on there, Kevin? A lot of people are asking.
Well, I'm featuring two. I've got, let's go vintage Jag Kutra, and this is vintage, which I love because it has 2 time zones. Flip it over, and there's a different watch completely, both into, I love this kind of stuff. And then just to tease you, because I knew I was coming here, I've got the puzzle, which is the little Rolex puzzle. I don't know how many there are in the world. That's Abu Dhabi time. So I've got Toronto time, LA time, Abu Dhabi time. That's what I'm talking about, baby. I'm talking about time zones here. And of course, these are both fantastic pieces. And mostly I wear red bands, but I thought just to tease you with this puzzle. I mean, that's...
I'm going to come over and have a look
You're
at
never
that
even
one.
going to get to touch this watch. You'll never see this watch again.
I'm going to come over and have a piece. I have a quick look. I got to get Wonder Care myself, I guess, on some
You
of these
do.
things.
You absolutely do.
I saw someone in the chat, you know, one thing that I think you need to look into, Wonder Bread. I mean, if you took that over, then it would be completely...
No, actually, it's Wonder Bra. That's what my wife said.
Okay, let's go bang. There it is, bang, bang. All right, we're having fun. We're having fun now. Kevin, I did want to bring up a good point because I thought you made an excellent one there about why are you buying an ETF? Why are you paying that 2%? Why are you paying a management fee when it comes to crypto? And I just have WonderFi up right now today, up 16% today. WonderFi, May 8th, you guys, or WonderFi reported 4.9 net income revenue. Great move there. And then, of course, the bit buy and bit stamp of Canadian clients. So again, WonderFi having a great day today. Look, what can help a lot of us buy some of those watches, and apparently maybe we'll, if we ever get a chance, would be great calls on sectors. When you were here back in 2020, you made a great call, and I have the chart up right here. You talked about XOM, and I'm never going to forget about this. Down here, $30, $34, when, of course, oil actually went negative. You know, good move back up to the upside. Is there anything you're looking at right now? I know that some of the Canadian banks are depressed, maybe too early there. Any sort of sector right now besides crypto that you're looking at?
Well, Canadian banks are a must-hold for Canadians. They go through volatility. There's obviously a big tax change today. We've got to talk about that. There's some issues around it.
Right.
I think the anticipation globally about Canada, because I spent a lot of time in Abu Dhabi, as you know, is they're awaiting regime change here. This is a very investable country. Unfortunately, currently uninvestable because you can't get anything done here on large infrastructure or resource-based projects. But there's an anticipation that there's going to be a change in Canada in the next 18, 24 months, whatever, and that this place will be very investable. So I've sort of started, even though we've got a change in tax, the natural resource sector in Canada is a huge opportunity. And so how do you service that? Well, you do that with the Canadian banks. So, you know, owning Canadian banks anytime there's a sell-off is a smart move for any Canadian. And you can say, oh, I like this bank over that bank, yada, yada, woof, woof, woof. You might as well just index them and just own them all, because at any one time, it's an oligopoly. These guys are the best run financial institutions in the world. You know, I want to do a shout out for them. They've done a hell of a job during volatile periods. They are highly regulated. They're very well managed. And for me, the XFN, I guess, is the ETF up in Canada that owns them all, financial services. It's a good way to put on a 5-6% weighting in Canadian banks. And I tell every American investor I have, they say, what's the best way I can invest in Canada right now? Buy the banks. Buy the banks. Get that div, get that cash every month, and just own the Canadian banks, because they will never, like some of the US banks on the regionals, go to zero. There's going to be a lot of zeros in those regional banks over the next 36 months as they slowly default on commercial real estate. You can be safe on a Canadian bank. So, you know, they're having some rough days, but they're getting beaten up a little bit. But you can't go wrong with a Canadian bank.
Right. We do like that cash flow coming through there. And again, I looked at the XFN as like basically exactly as you mentioned there. It's not doing too bad. If we come over to the screen right now, XFN above the 200 period and trying to get back to the 50. So I think you might be right on there, Kevin. And I do agree with you with that hot CPI print this morning. It looks like we will not get to refinance our mortgages anytime soon as the rate.
Meanwhile, you stick your cash in the bank and you're getting your 5.1%. You know, what's wrong with that? And that's we're not going to have any more rate cuts. That ain't going to happen in Canada, not after today's print. And that first one was a mistake, and so that's going to hurt on housing.
I mean, I know.
It's not easy, the task, as you were sort of saying, that they have to thread the needle. We had obviously an event a few years ago that was very different. Personally, I want to thank you. Sean talked about that energy play. I know I bought Chevron around that same time, and it gave me the oomph to maybe just get in a little bit earlier. And I feel the same way I was talking about TD specifically at some lows. Oligopolies are great if you're an investor. You can talk about them economically all you want. But more importantly, I'm not going to say which reinsurer. My wife works for a reinsurance company, and she's in the industry, and her boss is in the AI space for it. And I can tell you, I was an investor in Lemonade in the US. And what got me away from it was what they weren't able to accomplish, what they said they were going to be able to do in revolutionizing and how hard it is. So I want to say kudos for you for coming out with these products. You mentioned the watches. Are there what are the other addressable markets that you think are the biggest ones to come online? Obviously, near and dear to you is going to be insurance on your watches. But I think there's such a massive addressable market for more flexibility in the insurance industry. In the simple places like auto, it's a huge, huge problem, I think, of inefficiency, which I was incorrect in thinking Lemonade was going to be able to solve, and I got out of it, thank goodness. But what else do you see?
So that is a great question, and let's make it specific to Canada for a moment here. You know, Canada gets beaten up in the healthcare sector like crazy. All around the world, they criticize the Canadian healthcare system. They talk about it being, social medicine and all that stuff. And yet for catastrophic illness, let me give you a case in point. And I'm speaking about the digitization, the potential, the incredible potential of digitizing healthcare and what we could do here in Canada if we can get our laws behind this thing. But so I'm very fortunate. I need a hip replacement for 32 years of playing squash. My right hip is killing me. I want to get back in the game. I've been avoiding it for 2 years. I could go anywhere. I could go to Abu Dhabi. I could go to Dubai. I can do anywhere in the United States. And I also can come to Canada. Mm-hmm. So nobody knows this, but in Canada, we have some of the most advanced doctors in the world in hip and knee, in the world. There's a guy here, Sebastian Rodriguez is his name. He's the guy. He's the GOAT for hip replacement. Where is he? Humber River Hospital.
I was going to say.
So I went up there. I met the administration. I met him. I met the whole team. I saw the lab. They've got this incredible AI digital training lab for knee and hip, where you actually put on 3D goggles and you have a scalpel and you are taught the procedure in 3D. It's unbelievable, and we're leading the world in that. And everybody's crapping on the Canadian medical system. So I chose that hospital for my hip replacement. I'm going to blow those guys up. I'm going to say, look, let's videotape the procedure, and if I live through it, that'll be very good. and so, it's sort of let's celebrate what we do so well here and give these guys the shout out they deserve, because I combed the world. I went everywhere. If you're getting your hip replaced and you're in India, you're in Abu Dhabi, and you're in Riyadh, you want that hospital. Yeah. Because they do 13 procedures a day. Wow. You're in and out of there, if you're lucky, in 45 minutes. A day surgery. That's amazing. Canada. And so I see the digitization of the healthcare system as the next big sector. It's kind of a derivative story on the hip thing, but we could lead the world in this because we have really good potential, hospital by hospital in Canada, to coordinate on that. I think that's the next big thing. We're going to have to change the government for that. We need some competency. We don't have that right now, and I'm looking forward to getting rid of the current government. I mean, no disrespect, but they're terrible, and everybody knows that, and the whacking stick has to come out now.
I mean, it's a great subject, and I know Toronto Western is well known as well in Humberview also. So, I mean, best of luck, first of all.
Yeah. I really wanted to work out.
Get back on the squash court. Yeah. Let's wrap it up. I know you're busy. You have a busy schedule today. Let's wrap it up with just a look ahead. Give us two scenarios here, based on the outcome of what's going to happen in November. A lot of people sitting here right now saying, yeah, how do I position myself? What do I do here going into the latter half of this year? Give us both sides of the equation.
Well, I think from a sectoral play, I think energy in the U.S. is trading at a huge discount, and if the Trump administration is successful, they have an energy security mandate, which means, there's a really interesting narrative occurring in this sector. you've heard of the ANWR, obviously. That was shut down by the current administration, but it's one of the largest pools of oil on Earth. And so if you think about what happened in Norway, or even the potential we had in Alberta in the 70s, you could tap into the ANWR in the US, and this is why it's so attractive, and put a 3 to 7% royalty on every barrel at the barrel head, and pay down a massive amount of the US debt over a 7 to 10 year period. And that, for the first time, is being discussed on a bipartisan basis, which means a massive amount of drilling in the ANWR with the new clean technology they have, but that's right on the coast to the Pacific. So you think about the potential for serving the Asian nations with that oil. That I like a lot. I like that for all of the energy sector in the US. So going long US energy names, I'm definitely doing that into the election. The other interesting situation is what's going on in terms of AI beyond NVIDIA, because I'm really bullish on what's occurring in these sectors we talked about earlier on a vertical basis. And so buying the Russell 2000, I don't buy the Russell 2000 itself because half the companies aren't profitable, but ALPS has an ETF that I was involved in years ago in indexing called OUSM that has about 300 of the Russell 2000 companies are more in the mid-capish, but they all pay dividends and they're all growing faster than the S&P. They're domestic companies, so if you get a lesser regulated environment with a new administration, they're going to benefit the most because they don't have FX problems, they're not trading in foreign currencies, it's all US domestic. And so I like that sector. So OUSM is a big holding for me going into the election, kind of like a 12, 18-month hold, and I'm getting paid every month to own it. So I like that one a lot.
Two great ideas. Big year to come. Rest of the year, there's tons to look forward to. It's always a pleasure to get great insight from Mr. Wonderful himself, Kevin O'Leary, as chairman of O'Leary Ventures. Appreciate you doing this.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
There it is.
Can't
There we
think
go.
enough.
Great.
Yeah.
What you guys couldn't see while that was going on, well, you can see a little bit of it right now, is the entire trading floor stopping what they're doing to listen to Mr. O'Leary. I appreciate that question. I feel like the second he's off the stage, if you know the best hip guy, I got to corner him and ask him who the best is for surgery on the old Achilles. Because you know what? But it's so.
We don't know you need it yet.
Well,
But
that's
think positively. Think positively.
I don't have my MRI till Thursday, so I don't even know. But if I do, I want to make sure I get the best. And I can tell I won't say who this is, but just one last comment. I know we have to go to the midday. When you talk about how good Canadian healthcare is, some of the doctors we have, I have a family member who lives out on the outskirts in the East Coast, and I remember he had this rare 1 in 2.5 million blood thing. And the #1 doctor in North America for it was actually in Halifax, where he happened to be. It's blind luck, but that's a small place in Canada. So shout out to Canada. Oh, Canada, thank you so much.
I mean, we have Sick Kids
Kevin.
Hospital is world renowned. I mean,
World
kids
renowned.
travel here from all over the world, and that would be near and dear. Thankfully, haven't had any experiences there, but know a lot of people that have, and it's been absolutely fantastic. So a big shout out to Kevin O'Leary for coming through today. So thank you so much to that. And yeah, go find us all over social media as well. Here comes NVIDIA, by the way. I can't stop trading ever. So even as we're talking to Kevin there, we are short again in NVIDIA with this move coming back in here. So, all right, it's Midday Madness. It's Sharif. It's Adara. Are we ready? We ready, Ramin? Then let's go. It's midday. Kill them with kindness, guys. See ya.
Beautiful people, welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as That Midday Show. I hope you guys enjoyed Mr. Wonderful on with Brendo. But that is your girl Adara there in the green, and I'm Sharif. And we're going to wait for